All right. So we were going on about the muscles, contract this muscle, do this. So if we go in page 57. Actually, let's go on 57. Even page 56. The function of the muscles, okay? So this will be something that we continue to go deeper inside. And because it's like looking at a bunch of photos, I'll save a lot of this for the online, but just to get you like thinking in that mode already. Um, oh, we have to do your bones test, Phoebe, before the end of the day. The girls did theirs yesterday, and did pretty decent. Everyone did quite decent. So I went over the skeleton first and I said the names like just right in front of your face, and then I got you to put a number, and as I pointed to it, write the name. So I'll try to remember that before the end. I go, we'll do it to her tomorrow also. I was like, why did I word it? My English is getting worse and worse. My English is getting worse and worse. It makes sense, but it's not the right way to put it. So look at this picture. Remember right before lunch, I was saying I'm always doing this action. So this picture is this action. Like, do you get it? That it is that. So this is the bundle of a muscle. Which one? Doesn't matter that much. I don't know what this diaphragm is referring, or this little diagram here. Maybe this is like something tiny, tiny that I can zoomed in. Um, something tiny, tiny. But see how it's tiny bundles. And then we watched that short video with Gil Headley. I have it referenced in the Google Drive. So we'll bring Gil Headley's stuff again. He's an anatomy expert, PhD, very eccentric, very into what he does. And therefore, his work is like more interesting. So when we look at this muscle, like see how it's running along the side of this thing right here? This is most likely a bone. So remember you asked about the ACL. So this would be a tendon. So ACL is where like bone and bone join. But here, this is where we're getting, so that's a ligament joining bones and bones together. And then we have the tendon, which is like joining the muscle. So if we look at the picture, the muscle is turning into this white, where it kind of looks like it becomes the bone. Like it looks like it's becoming the bone here. And that would be a tendon that goes and kind of weaves into probably connecting in a ligament also. And then it kind of makes this very dense. So all the muscles are connected to bones in this way, and that's what allows us to move. What allows us to have freedom in our movement is the fact that we have joints and hinges that we can actually move. But what is driving the skeleton? Because our skeleton is just like this inside of the meat. So it's the meat that is moving the skeleton. So the function of the muscle, movement of the body parts, and the organ contents. So organ contents, thinking about digestion in particular, it's a series of bandhas or locks, the intestines, not ones that we control, it's in our subconscious. Thank God. Imagine if you're like, oh God, I forgot to like contract my digestion. Like, and that's like you would, and the intestines are huge, like long. So you would have to like focus. You would do nothing. Besides that, you would do only like yeah, you would do nothing. So yeah, and you should take a little time for digestion. The muscles hold us upright, maintain our posture. The skeleton kind of does, but if your skeleton is off of balance, it can fall, right? So it's the push and pull of the muscles that give us balance, like a suspension bridge. Communication through our muscles, our speech, our facial expressions, when we're happy or not happy or any other feeling, we can show it on our face or not, or hold it. Also, it's our muscles doing that. Writing, talking, the action of talking, that I have a voice, I'm moving wind through my vocal cords, not actually thinking that hard, how am I doing it? That is how, you know. So all of this is happening through our subconscious, control of openings and passageways. So, you know, your front or your back, A or B going to the bathroom, it's a muscle lock and contraction that's holding it shut all the time, thank God. And the production of body heat. So anyway, now we're feeling we need more body heat, thinking of contracting and releasing the muscles, like even just sitting there, so you have some movement while you're sitting. There's also 3 different types of muscle tissues in the body. And there's more types, but we're saying muscle tissues. The skeletal muscle, the muscles that are like right along the bone, attaching to the bone. Cardiac muscle, so that forms most of the heart, the cardiac muscle. It's a different texture than a lot of muscles. It's kind of like filtery looking. If you've ever seen a beef heart, even like a chicken heart is maybe too small, different than us, but yeah, it's like a different, it's very muscular. And then the smooth muscle, which is found on the walls of the blood vessel. So this is like, like a slimy tube, but it doesn't have to be a tube, but it's slimy. And maybe kind of transparent. So very thin also, so smooth. And I think it needs some type of mucous membrane, like to have a slidey part of it. It shouldn't be dry. If it dries out, I think it would break easily, like glass or something, like a dried piece of stick or something, you know, like it would just break if it became dry. So I think it is mucus, needs mucus membrane. Yeah, so if you took like veins or your arteries, the tubes that your blood and stuff runs through, like out, and it dried, probably would be crispy. Yeah. Crispy. Oh. They have that exhibit, Body World. If you've ever seen it or have the chance to see it, go see it. It's really, really cool. And they injected. So you can dry a body for sure. Like think about a beef jerky is dried meat. I mean, mummification is also, and look at them, they're dry. Like if I dropped it, it's breaking like a glass, like it's gonna break like that. So this exhibit, Body Worlds, they injected plasticine, like a silicone plastic, into the people donated their body to science, and they injected this plastic into them. And have them on display. And like there's one like running. I think there's even one riding a horse, and the horse kind of is a cadaver. Yeah. They didn't get him to sign the waiver, I'm sure, but yeah, they have the dead horse injected with plasticine, and the way that the scientists did that is because the muscles run like we're learning fibers, you know, they had to inject into the fiber. There was like a process that they had to do. And it was very controversial, actually. People are like, oh, I shouldn't do this thing. Yeah, but it was cool. I saw it twice. Once in Montreal and once in Halifax. So individual muscle cells are very long and contain many functional units. So just the cells, that's what this picture is. I'm sure. And it's like super zoom in. And sarcomeres. Each sarcomere is divided by a Z line. So we were watching the video yesterday with Gil Headley, and he was talking about the IT band and how the fibers of the IT band, we see them kind of run this way, like on our leg. But then there was other fibers kind of across, also running this way. But if you zoom in, way in, the fibers are not just a straight line, they're actually like this. So when it stretches this way, they go more straight, or they're more like this. And these get more farther apart, like it's stretching that way. And so that's the visual, divided by the Z line. When a muscle contracts, the Z line bands come closer together. So, this. And then when it when it gets stretched, makes sense, right? You can see it. So again, like even your most easiest muscle to see, the bicep, when I contract it and it gets that bulk, it's like coming together. And then when it goes long, it's out straight. So that's kind of like on the microscopic level, and not so microscopic level, what's going on, but it's even going on very deeply at the microscopic level. So we have the origins of muscles are fixed attachment sites of some muscles, and insertion are the attachment sites that move. Depending on the range of the attachment, when a muscle contracts, it moves the origin and insertion closer together. So we'll get to some examples of that. We have types of muscle contractions. So again, contraction is when the sarcomeres come closer together, when our muscles are more zigzagging, the fibers are more in a zigzag versus pulled straight. So when I do this action, it's that zigzag, you know what I mean? So pulling it apart. I mean, this is also quite literally that, but that's again what it looks like when we're lengthening it, or it's bunching. The muscle, the meat is bunching, literally, that's what gives it that bunch. So we have isometric contractions. It's a contraction without movement. That's like when we just like squeeze or squeeze your glute. I'm not really moving anything. And then isotonic, a contraction with movement. So if I contract and I'm moving anything where I'm moving from the joint. Concentric, the muscle shortens as it works, so bicep curl. And eccentric, the muscle lengthens as it works, bicep lowering from the curl. The muscle contracting is called the agonist. The muscle that is relaxing, it's like a stabilizer to perform the movement, is called the antagonist. This is very nerdy. You won't be like, no, contracture agonist. You will never. You won't say that in your class, by the way, if you're wondering. Like, where is this going? You don't need to do that. It's just important to know in sports medicine. As I mentioned a few times, you can do your yoga teaching in a lot of different ways, and maybe during your course of teaching yoga, you will experience a lot of different ways, like teaching in gyms, teaching in workspaces. So you'll be in different communities. And sometimes when you're in like a community of people, more athletes, like teaching in a gym that has like other Zumba classes or stuff like that, you'll talk to other instructors and you'll see their languaging and you'll see their lingo. Their languaging is for sure different than the students, for sure. And that's how you know you're like working with other pros. Is like if they kind of get it. I've met so many people again in Egypt, and like people doing retreats, yoga retreats, for sure no yoga certification. And they're not like their root of what they're doing is like from a good place. But they should go and take the course. Like it is that. And you do, like, as a professional, you need to pay to play. No one is so talented that they don't need training. It's like, oh, I just learned it. You know, it's like, you go like get tested, dude. Like, so there's a lot of that happening here. And they wouldn't have the lingo at all. Super at all. Muscles that work together to perform the same movement are called synergists. So from the word synergy, working together, moving together, there is a synergist. Muscles that prevent movement of the bone that the prime mover is attached to are called fixators or stabilizers. So now I'm going to bring a little video. This
when you have the perfect spots in your head where your fingers just can't keep up. We've all been there, typing, deleting.
Professor Dave here. Let's talk about action potential.
Professor Dave. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen. Professor Dave, shukran. It's sometimes these little childhood videos, and also I can't animate like this. These are sometimes great.
He knows a lot about the science stuff. Professor Dave explained.
Professor Dave.
We just learned about the structure of muscle, like skeletal muscle, which is what allows you to move your body around. But how exactly does this work? If you decide to lift your arms up in the air, what is happening on the molecular level that produces this motion? It's not magic. It's just a staggering amount of chemistry. So let's dive back down into those muscle fibers and get a closer look. As we recall, any skeletal muscle is made of fascicles, and each fascicle is made of muscle fibers, which are the individual multinucleated muscle cells. From there, we can zoom in farther on one of these myofibrils, which are in turn comprised of myofilaments arranged into sarcomeres. And this is the contractile unit, the one that lets muscles do what they do. Now let's get a closer look at these structures, because this is where all the action happens. Looking at a sarcomere, we can label a few regions. We can see these darker A bands and the lighter I bands, which are aligned and responsible for the striated appearance of skeletal muscle. Within each A band, we can find a lighter region called the H zone. And this H zone is split down the middle by something called the M line, made of a protein called myomycin. The I bands are also split down the middle by a region called the Z disc. We can identify an individual sarcomere as being a section from one Z disc to the next, and this is the functional unit of skeletal muscle. If we zoom in even more, we can see the myofilaments that make up these regions. As we discussed previously, the thick filaments contain myosin, and these extend across the A band, connected at the M line. The thin filaments contain actin, extending across the I band and into the A band. There are also elastic filaments made of titin, spanning from the Z discs to the thick filament, and then continuing on, acting as the core of the thick filament. Now let's zoom in even further on these two main types of filaments. Myosin is a protein with two globular heads pointing outwards and a long tail, which contributes to the structure of the filament. The heads are the site of all the activity, since there are ATP binding sites, as well as actin binding sites, meaning this is where the thick and thin filaments will interact by making cross bridges. It's important to note the lack of myosin heads in the center of the sarcomere, just as there also are no thin filaments. Speaking of those, as we said, they are made predominantly of actin, and two actin filaments will twist together to form the backbone of the thin filament. Each actin subunit has an active site where myosin can bind, and when a muscle fiber is relaxed, these are blocked by spiraling strands of tropomyosin. There is also troponin, a globular complex of 3 polypeptides, one of which binds to actin, one of which binds to tropomyosin, and one of which binds calcium. Beyond this, we must be aware of the sarcoplasmic reticulum, a series of tubules that surround each myofibril. These regulate levels of calcium, which is needed for muscle contraction through storage and release. This structure includes the T-tubules, which sit at each A-band, I-band junction, encircling each sarcomere and helping signals reach every region of the muscle cell.
I'm 42 and skip foundation. I don't do fillers and facial. How? I follow these face yoga exercises for 21 days and they changed my face. In a week.
Now that we've examined each structural component, let's describe how everything works using the sliding filament model of contraction. This says that when the nervous system stimulates muscle fibers, the myosin heads on the thick filaments will interact with the binding sites on the actin subunits. These attachments will form and break several times as the thick filaments pull the thin filaments in towards the center of the sarcomere, thus pulling the Z discs towards the M line. The I bands shorten and the H zone disappears. The overall effect is that the A bands from adjacent sarcomeres get closer together, so the entire muscle cell will shorten. This is the mechanism by which muscles contract. Now the question is, how is all of this activity initiated? As we said, this begins with a signal from the nervous system. We will examine that system in detail a bit later, but for now we can just examine the interface between the nervous system and a skeletal muscle. This is called the neuromuscular junction. Each muscle fiber has one, and these sections, called axon terminals, are nearly touching the muscle fiber, separated only by a thin space called the synaptic cleft, where the muscle produces junctional folds within the postsynaptic membrane. The axon terminal has lots of synaptic vesicles, which are like little bubbles containing acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter. When a nerve impulse reaches the end of an axon by a mechanism we will discuss later, the axon terminal will release acetylcholine into the synaptic cleft. The junctional folds contain acetylcholine receptors, so these will bind to the approaching acetylcholine, which causes a conformational change. This protein will then act as an ion channel, which allows for sodium ions to enter and potassium ions to leave, although not in equal number. Sodium will cross the membrane in greater quantity, and this affects the membrane potential, or the potential difference across the membrane. For more information on electric potential, check out my physics tutorial on this subject. Otherwise, we just need to understand that the way that positive and negative charges are distributed within a structure can be a driving force for a particular process. Prior to the opening of the ion channels, the inside of the cell was more negatively charged than the outside, but as sodium ions enter, depolarization will occur. This causes other nearby sodium channels to open, and more sodium ions will enter, following the electrochemical gradient. Once a particular threshold voltage is reached, this will generate an action potential. Sodium can now diffuse into the cell anywhere along the membrane. While this is happening, an enzyme in the synaptic cleft called acetylcholinesterase will break down acetylcholine, and the ion channel closes, preventing further muscle contraction until another nerve impulse arrives. But the action potential will continue to propagate along the sarcolemma and down the T tubules, which opens up calcium ion release channels, which we will discuss in a moment. Finally, after the depolarization wave has completely propagated, repolarization will begin due to the changes in charge density. Potassium channels will now open, and potassium ions that are more highly concentrated within the cell will diffuse out of the muscle fiber, which restores negative charge inside, and the sarcolemma goes back to normal. At this point, the muscle fiber can be stimulated again if another impulse arrives.
They must be balanced. So sometimes
So we can see that charge distribution and electric potential are key concepts here. But how does that relate to muscle contraction? Well, the action potential generated will initiate excitation-contraction coupling. As we said, the propagation of the action potential causes a rise in levels of calcium in the cytosol, and this is what causes the filaments to slide. Let's recall that when a muscle cell is relaxed, tropomyosin blocks the myosin binding sites on the actin subunits. But as more and more calcium ions become present, these will bind to troponin, and once two ions bind, it will change shape, which will push tropomyosin off of the myosin binding sites, making them available for cross-bridge cycling, the process we mentioned before. In this process, the myosin heads will pivot and bend, pulling the actin filament along and using ATP in the process. The two positions possible for the heads allow it to pull, detach, change position, bind, pull, detach, and so forth many times until contraction is complete. As calcium levels deplete, troponin returns to its original shape. Tropomyosin blocks actin's binding sites once more, and the muscle fiber relaxes.
If you do absolutely nothing, AI might take your job.
This class isn't about writing prompts.
You know your job better than anyone. When you shift your thinking about AI, you can make 10 times.
There is a lot more to discuss regarding muscle contraction. We could talk about the time frames associated with each step in muscle contraction. We could talk about graded muscle responses, or the differences in contraction for smooth muscle versus skeletal. But we will have to leave that for another day, since it's best to really understand the basics first. Before moving forward, let's quickly review what we discussed. Muscle contraction in a skeletal muscle begins when a signal arrives at the neuromuscular junction. Acetylcholine is released, which binds to receptors on the sarcolemma. Sodium and potassium ions move through the ion channels, which results in a local change in membrane voltage, also called depolarization. This initiates an action potential, which travels across the sarcolemma in all directions, eventually along T-tubules. This is where calcium ions are released, which interact with the myofilaments such that myosin and actin are able to bind, and contraction begins. Now that we understand the structure of a muscle, as well as the mechanism by which muscles contract, let's move forward and look at the entire muscular system as a whole, so that we can get the big picture regarding how we move around. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to my channel for more tutorials. Support me on Patreon so I can keep making content. And as always, feel free to email me, ProfessorDaveExplains@gmail.com.
Don't worry, you don't need to remember. Mainly just like put the picture in your mind that there's like amazing chemical reactions going on in the body every time that we do anything. And we don't have to do a lot to make it happen. In fact, we do nothing. We just like, there sends an impulse and the body responds to that. So, oh, here my other notes are. So when, if we go back into the types of contractions. So the isometric contraction is the one with no movement. If we're at types, I'm on page 57. I don't know if we left them there. I'm on page 57. So the contraction isometric with is without movement. So that would be ones like wall sits, without movement. Or plank is probably the easiest. I'm not moving anywhere, but my muscles are so working. Like, everything is squeezed. Glute squeeze, one glute squeeze, wall sits. Ever put boxing and make you do these forever. And you said my cleaner was here just, what was it, yesterday? Yeah. Yesterday morning to get this place ready, and I think she used a new type of cleaner on the floor, and I've almost died. I've almost died. Like this part right here. Also, just be very careful there. That's like, like I don't know what she did. I was like, I'm gonna die actually. So yeah, that's a contraction that it caused my body to have. What I feel like that would also be an isometric contraction. I contracted without movement. So. Look at that. And I've had injuries this way too. And I hope that you don't. So a contraction where maybe I'm walking normal and then I slip, all my stuff like tightens up so much. Like I've had actual real experience, my Achilles tendon. Very, very stabilizing for the body. Right here, Achilles tendon, very important, and it's called Achilles from the Greek myth. So like slice his tendon, and then he's like loses it. So that is very easy to damage. If you cut that on someone, they can't stay standing; they'll fall from that leg unless they get away on the other one leg. So I had walking out of my studio in Canada, teaching, like going to go home, whatever. Walked outside, there's ice. I slipped, I flexed so hard that it got a little tear in the side, like a little piece of the tendon tore from the bone. That's how hard I flexed because I went like I wasn't flexed, like it's just my body was sent in physics and space, and I went so tight. That is another that is an isometric. So when your body goes tight and you're not necessarily moving, I was moving, but I wasn't locomoting the move. I wasn't responsible for I was moving because the ground was taken from under. So and then the contraction with movement. Like yeah, one perfect example I have in the document, mini squats, controlled eccentric lowering, which was kind of like when we went into the awkward pose, when we lowered ourselves down. You know how we lowered ourselves and then came back up. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, come up. So what is going on there? It's a slow contraction. It's like a controlled contraction. I said, don't go all the way down to the max of your pose, because that's when it will become into isometric. So that's when you're holding without movement. So a lot of the holding without movement is the isometric. And then when I'm going isotonic, that's as I gradually tighten the muscle. In the belly dance world, I call this hard contractions versus soft contractions. And it was kind of an example when we did the ab one. What do I mean by that? I'll give you another example. When you extend one of your legs, and we'll focus on the glute because it's very visible for the glute, and then pull your glute out. So I can like, bam, and squeeze and contract my glute like hard contraction. And then that's not necessarily isometric, but when I keep holding it, that's isometric. Okay, the process to get there is not isometric. So I can go bam, I will call that hard contraction, or also like pop, a lock actually. And so pop would be when you go blah, blah, and release it. So I can also do slow contraction. So feel your own glute. I'm gonna think of tightening it slowly. And I want you to feel and visualize and feel that it's gonna kind of tighten from the bottom of the cheek and then slowly wrap upward around the hip. Can you feel that? Like as I squeeze from here, feel where the fibers start to move here, up, and it kind of like ends my contraction up here. Does that make sense? You can feel it? So I have the slow, from my dance training, she would say, now staircase the glute. This is not anatomical expression, correct? Not. It was one of my teacher's own things that she said. So she said, now, and she meant by like this wrap, because we would sit in this position and we would do our glute drills. So we would sit like this and we would go slow. You can see it wrap. And then we would go slow. And you can see it wrap. So, or you can go boom and hold. So we would do those glute drills, slow, slow. And then you can also feel like the dead spots in your glutes. And then usually fix them with bridges. Lots of bridges and lots of squats. So that would be also isotonic into an isometric, if that makes sense. So they can kind of overlap like that. What was my next? Oh, I want to go into now the types of stretching on page 95. And again, that's not something that is going to be like in the front of your Rolodex of information that you use. So just knowing how the muscles function. and even creating like an abstract vision of that, and as best as you can, it will help make a more full vision. I also shared in the WhatsApp group, I shared a few podcasts of like stuff that's not necessarily yoga, but it's related to yoga. So this channel, Musical Breathwork, I was on their podcast for one of my specialties not related to yoga, and you're about the cerebral spinal fluid whirling. And then I went, when they invited me to be on the podcast, of course I went and checked their other podcasts to make sure it wasn't like some Joe Rogan thing. So I went and I fell in love with this channel. I'm not a big consumer of me. I'm usually working on stuff, so I'm not a huge consumer. I don't have a lot of favorite podcasts or favorite shows or any, like I'm not that engaged in that world. Like I will maybe like watch max like 2 series a year, like, and I'll put it on at night when I need to stop working, but I don't consume a lot of information like that. So I was very, very pleased to find that her guests were all very thoughtful and smart in topics that I was very interested in. So she, the woman that runs this podcast, she was an athlete and an opera singer. And she realized that teaching through vocal lessons, how much freedom and resonance and healing people experienced through working with their voice and improvements in their personality generally. Yeah, because if your personality is bad, that's going to ruin your life. It's like, I don't know why my life is bad. It's like, because your personality sucks. Yeah, it's a you problem. Like women in the expat in Egypt group, they're like, I didn't meet anyone in Egypt for 3 years. I'm like, there's a reason for that. Yeah. So these different practices where it allows us to feel more free in our body and expand into our body have documented effects to make you have a less shitty personality. Imagine if you're feeling whole and healthy and not cramped up, you're gonna be just a nicer, chiller, cooler person. It's a super plus. And being nicer, chiller, cooler, nicer, more open, more relaxed, more comfortable in yourself is not just to have other people like you. It's to have you like your own self and living in your own, you have to live inside of your body. And if you're not like content in that experience, that's like a life sentence in the worst jail there is, you know? So becoming comfortable and learning how to make your body feel good, like working on the level, like our body is a machine, it needs certain things. So when we can give that to our body, then our more sides, our less tangible sides, like our spirit, our personality, feels better when what it lives inside is like taken care of and nice. So just, yes, we need to keep body healthy. Why? Because it's going to make our spirit soul more happy. We have to live inside of it, and already being in the body is a very awkward experience. I'm like, oh God, it's awkward and gross sometimes, a lot of times, so taking care of it, knowing how it works will make your experience less awkward and gross, or just more accepting of that. So we have types of stretching. Active stretching would be like holding a pose of the targeted muscle group. As an example, most of our Kripalu poses are standing flow poses on page 95. Most of our poses are active. We're moving, I'm gonna like this one, inhaling, and as I reach the arm, and then I circle through, release. So this is the active stretch. As I open through here, this is an active stretch. Pulling and then bringing it down and pulling and bringing it down and having active engagement. Squats and inhale up, active stretching. Because I'm stretching, I'm warming up the body. I'm also lengthening at the same time. So the active stretching. Passive stretching, that's when we get into kind of like yin yoga style, when we're just laying and let gravity open us. Stretching hamstrings. Passive stretching is better for the very thick areas of fascia. So where does this live? In the thoracolumbar, where this connects. All this into the glutes, into the thighs. So that's why you'll see typically yin yoga is mostly lower body focused poses. It's not appropriate to hold those poses so long Last night I was saying the muscles of the neck are so delicate. The vertebrae are smaller, but then the muscles that actually hold them are very small, tiny, tiny little muscles. And then the muscles we have through our thighs and our glutes and wrapping thoracolumbar fascia in the back are bigger. So of course they can take more time and stress. Am I going to put the same amount of time and stress and effort onto something way more smaller? No, I got to reduce it. So you think about reducing the reduction of size of the muscle, a quad muscle versus the scalene, or it's going to be different ratios of time and force. So if I'm holding some lower body yin yoga stuff for like 4 minutes, 6 minutes, I won't do that in my neck at all, at all, at all. In fact, active stretching is better for the neck and the upper body than passive stretching. Some passive stretching that's not bad to do is through this area of the body. We know we get kind of tight and the shoulders roll forward. So through the pec major. And often if you're going for super stretching gains, it's better to do some active stretching before you go into your long hold passive stretch. So we kind of, maybe that was last night. We were doing lunges with that was last night. We were doing lunges with the block to go into the hips, to go into the pelvis and the back of the legs. So we were doing them moving and then we held them for the 4 breaths. So we did active stretching and then we went into a passive stretch. Dynamic stretching. That one is like more active. So the active stretching is, again, I'm taking a line. Dynamic stretching is like I'm trying to loosen up the area. So if you're when we rolled our shoulders today and we're like keep moving to create that space, or we move the shoulders this way. And then even last night we did hip side to side. That's more like a day. And then we said you can also go front. That's like a dynamic stretching also. Being super involved, like a dance warm-up is a dynamic stretch also, like doing a dance warm-up. PNF stretching is an assisted method of stretching that's kind of done to like a massage therapy. And we'll do a little bit of that right now. We've done it when we have the strap schwaya, but we didn't necessarily look at it from this angle. So here I have a couple of spots. Yeah, take your time and we'll come onto our back. I'm just gonna run into the washroom. The hydration. So we'll take an example of the stretching. So let's come onto our back with the strap. And so they were saying that this will be done PNF stretching, short for proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. What is all that? So have you ever experienced muscle spasm anywhere in the body, either of you? Cramps? Yeah, like a muscle cramp, like it tightens and it won't let go. Yeah. Yes, exactly. So exactly, yeah. And you can get them in the back and you can get them in the ankles and the thighs. Yeah, okay. So that process, what's happening when that's happening? Something, usually like the calf one, we're pointing our foot. or you're stretching in the night and something is out of alignment. So your body is signaled to be like, whoa, stop. They're going outside of our range of motion. We need to stop right now. And also sometimes that's due to a poor balance of the potassium and magnesium and the cocktail of elements that we need in our body. So when that happens in the body and we just like the muscle tightens up and it holds you, believe it or not, it's trying to help. You're like, stop, I don't need help, you know. And I for years had back spasms where my back, you know, living in the super cold climate was very difficult. And so my whole right side of my body would like, and I'd be like, and I'd be maybe like 4 or 5 days where it's like really like I can't sit, I need to always be moving, like I would be talking to you and I'd be like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, I'll like, you know, see you then, you know, and like very, very discomfort. And try to go for a massage or something like this. So what is going on, especially in that, for me, I had an over twist injury in my T4 and T5 in my thoracic spine, my spine over twisted. And when that happened, the muscles were like, oh shit, the spine is in trouble. We have to tighten and save her. And then I'm like, that tightening hurts worse than that, you know? So they're trying to avoid something and made another thing. And we can kind of hack those patterns. And this is through the PNF stretching. So also sometimes I wouldn't just go in, okay, I'm gonna stretch this forever and be in forward bend. I would have to actually contract it more beyond the contraction and like work blood and stuff back into it because it would just like freeze up. So that's kind of what we're gonna do. The example that we'll use is taking one leg up, like take your time, bring yourself onto your back. Bring one leg up and bring the strap over your foot and one end of the strap in each hand. So immediately when you put your leg up, you're going to feel some tightness at the back of your leg. And if you pushed into that tightness a little bit, your body might be like, oh, that's like very intense. So go to where it's very intense. And if you went too intense, a little more than that, then your body's going to start to maybe contract in an awkward way. So to avoid that, it's like if you think this is your edge for your stretch. So if I was in the similar position, like, okay, so if I'm like this is the same as having the strap, right? And if I want to increase the angle on it, I'm going to go to a place here where I'm like, oh, that's when I feel my muscles starting to go. So I'm going to go to my utmost strong stretch. And then I'll exhale and back the tension off. So going in again into the strong stretch, reaching into it. Just kind of find where you're at your edge. You're like, before you're like, oh shit, okay? And it should be kind of in the belly of the hamstring, the bicep femoris. There's two. So kind of try to feel it in the center of your leg, not at the butt where the insertion is. So the hamstring insertion is like in your ischium, in that bone, not there. So holding and going into it. And then backing away. And so just do that a few more times. And so then the formula for PNF stretching is we time it. I think it's like 46 seconds, not even 45 seconds. It's like 46 seconds, something. I'm just going to pull the timer so we do it. All right, so we're going to have passive stretch. So take your leg up to where it's kind of like gravity is stretching. You're not like hurting yourself. It's just hanging out. And we're going to hold this for about 10, 20 seconds. So here I got my clock, my timer. And then from there, just release it and then take it into isometric contraction. So you're gonna have resistance from the strap and you're gonna pull it and hold with about 60 to 70 of your max effort. Pulling it towards you. Timing, got the counters and stuff worked. Sometimes seconds are so long when you time. And then you can slowly back off of it and relax. And then after that, you go in and you see if your passive stretch can become any deeper. That's when we hold it and take it. So let's do the other side to stay balanced. But often it's pretty notable, or doing the method like going in and going out of it. But this is like 10 to 20 seconds, they said hold. And 5 to 10 seconds. I just queued it on ChatGPT, but I read many books on this and it wasn't necessarily. So 1 to 2 minutes of doing this will kind of help you open it up. So it says do it after the warm-up. And don't do it like every day. This is also similar in having a yin yoga practice, you know, and mixing it a little bit with yang. So the only difference is that in yin practice, we don't contract the muscles, we want our muscles to go. So remember, the ones you're doing now, you're pulling into your tightness, you're letting them go. So do a few like that, pulling into your tightest, and then release it, and then pulling into your tightest, and then release it. And then we can pull it in as an active stretch. And you're breathing. And then release it. And keep released for a few more seconds. And then we'll pull it really in, and even see here, pulling it in, how much you can flex your heel, like really push through the heel, straighten the back of the leg, really like, yeah, push it, hold. Really stretch, stretch, stretch. And slowly exhale and release. And release. So our different types of stretching, they're all good, to be honest, and they're all needed. Often I will start with passive stretching, and the passive stretching, or sorry, active stretching, like a dance warm-up or movement. In my starting my primary movement. And then that will reveal to me what is needed passive stretching. So I'm like, oh, my quad is super, super bad now. Like at the end of the day, like I kind of sit down and I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, oh, my quad, you know, like, and so then I would just like spend some time just on that quad. If my other one wasn't bothering me, I don't deal with it. Like I just kind of do some little maintenance at the end of the day. I had a really fun night the other night. One of my friends was over and he does a lot of fighting stunts. And so we were doing sword fighting and sticking tahtif like for a few hours, yeah. And then it was like super fun and I didn't realize the time was passing. And then I went to like sit on the couch. I was like, oh, it's like something is hurting. And then I went to walk and I was like, oh god, it's like my quad end. So I was like, just like I have to chill. So when you're playing in that movement of playing or just like moving, I was focusing on the forms and I wasn't focusing on how deep my squats or what's going on. So then I came out of being in this like very deep squat position and I was like, oh shit, now I need some maintenance after that. So you can really use your maintenance just by, again, just checking in with your body. And you can do some stretches before you go to bed. You're gonna wake up way in a better condition and not, and maybe like one magnesium, you know. And so when you're training, or adding more to your routine and you are a person who takes magnesium, keep yourself on like magnesium drip. if that makes sense, like just don't take the two if they say take two at a time, like take one in the morning, one in the night, or like one before your workout, one at night. And then it also depends how much it affects your workout. Some people get very sleepy from it. That doesn't happen to me, so I like to slow drip it and keep it like moving through my system, especially when I'm moving a lot. All right, so now we're gonna get into pose lab. I'm gonna teach tonight the standing yoga mudra and the awkward pose. A key component of both of these is the bend of the knee. One of the videos that I'll send with you tonight for the Ken Hub will be will be about the knee joint, and it's just one of those things, like I was saying, how you take the elements from each pose, like today where we're like, okay, every time I put the belly down, I do these steps. It will be also every time I bend my knee, I pay attention to these items, and everyone else too, I walk them through these items. Knees are very, very unforgiving. Very. Oh yeah, and I hurt my knee too. So that's what happens when you do stunts. Stunts are not they can be aesthetic, but they're not ergonomic. They're not ergonomic. It's my own fault. Don't try that at home. So don't try it anywhere. Okay. Bye. Utkatasana. Okay, where is my closest after one? So long. So, okay, on page 173, we have Yoga Mudra. Nine awkward poses on the first. It's just really good sign, right? Alright. So what do we know about knee alignment? Here, let me move this. I'm gonna move this over here. 1 second. Come in. Okay. So awkward pose and also the standing yoga mudra breakdown, teaching methodology. So what do we know about knees so far? What poses have we focused on? The knees so far. The 90-degree bend in the knee. Warrior poses. And if I take this little picture and I turn it like this, what does it look like? Yeah. The table. Table is also. Yeah. Wait, I'll turn it a little more. Yeah. Exactly. So we have table and we have downward dog. Okay. So this is what we've learned about knees so far. What did we learn about that so far? What did we know about knees for sure? What kind of joint is your knee? The extension joint. So knees only do this, the flexion, and then extension. And then they have a bony stop as they come to bone on bone, and there's the patella or the kneecap there. The light. It's really dark. It's a mood, but I can't see my text because I'm old. Don't quite need glasses, but I'll help myself. All right. So what we know so far is the knee does not twist. That's important. Not only do we need to know what the knee does do, but it's especially important to know what the knee does not do. It does not twist. Also, Yeah, we want the knee also in the keyword warrior when we say knee tracking above the foot. Show you what I mean by that. So if I take, let me just do the warrior 2 muscle, and my knee is tracking, so this important part, this contraction and this opening here. When I look down from, not like this so much, but when I'm in my position and I just put my eyes down, like my knee is going over my foot, like I can see my foot and it's tracking over the foot. Or if I'm doing it towards you, my knee is staying over the foot. What does not tracking over the foot look like? Yeah. Right? You see it all the time, dude. You see it all the time. People are like holding their pose and they're like this. Why do I feel crinkled? It's because you are crinkled. So it's this. Because it's not just the knee moving on its own. It's this stabilization of the hip. The knee is further out from the hips. So it is the hips that control its position in space. The knee can't do anything on it. It's just there. Before the feet, it can't do anything on its own. So that concept of tracking over the foot, tracking towards the foot, and then when I'm in this position again, here, about for my own body ratios, and spend time with your own body to learn, my knee over my ankle, when I look at my foot, it's like I can only see this part. I can only see my toes from here. So like the line on the socks is perfect. It's kind of like where your toes start, that kind of round. Your knee kind of like visually fits there. And I can see most of my toes. Kind of for a visual if you're using. And then you can use also, again, everyone's ratios are different, so experiment with that for yourself. But I also have the mirror, I can see it. So when my knee is at a 90-degree angle, that's like, if I'm looking, that's what I'm looking for. So we bring it to the 90-degree angle, why? A table is gonna be way more stable if it's like this than versus like this, because again, if something comes, pushes this backwards, the knee goes like this, it doesn't bend like that, you know? Or if we're kind of like this, I could also just collapse forward in that. So if my weight is going straight down, that is the most stable, just physics. So same thing, when we take the weight into the back of our feet, because my center, my axis line is from here down into the heels and up. And then I'm even off. So my axis is not here anymore. My axis is like through here and where my heels are. So the imaginary line is going up that way and staying that way. So, and then it will change as you go down more and more. So again, that bend of the knee is really important. They say never take the knee more forward. That's not necessarily true, but it's a good rule generally for the general public. But you will super take your knee forward. If you go like that's way more forward of the foot, but I also popped it up to do that. So in the meantime, my knee is like in here and I'm gonna slide back. So where's taking the most of the holding is my thighs, for sure. So you can think about that shape and effort when you go back into downward dog and really contracting and moving through my thighs. When you come into any type of squat, this one is a knees forward squat. It's not like a sumo squat with the knees out. It's again tracking over. Because you can also do sumo squat with the knees still tracking over the feet. You know, and then what's that look like? That looks like the knees tracking over the feet. So there's lots of ways to do it, like way not, like knees way back or like knees in, and I'm over exaggerating, of course. It's the same thing. Anytime that you go this like slide, we want knees tracking over the feet, just to go. It's like a nice, treat yourself like like a robot, like get used to moving like that and for fun, because it will help organize your body. So strengthens the muscles for Utkatasana, awkward pose. Also called powerful pose, you know, it's a pretty strong feeling. It strengthens your breathing, power, concentration, improves balance, groundedness, and increases circulation in the legs. Contraindications, lower back. And that's like if your lower back or if your abs are super weak, your lower back will be protected. So usually lower back problems means no abs. If you have knee injury, this might be one that you don't want to do if you're fresh ACL or you don't go down so far. There is many versions of this for all body types. Often, like I said, people are able to do a little of something or within what is possible for them. There's not really any like harsh red light stops. Mostly the most harsh red light stop would be students doing the headstand or handstand. Most people shouldn't be doing that for a long time until they can actually do a plank. If you can't do a plank, you have no business doing headstand. Like, and at least take however many breaths you expect to take in your headstand. Because otherwise you're not holding yourself, your neck is holding you, and that's gonna not be a good sign. Yeah, be careful with that one if you feel the need. So super benefits, strengthens muscle groups all over the body, quads, abs are really pulling in. Again, that scoop. You can think about your bandhas, hanging the bandhas in this one. I'm going to use at least my Muladhara and my solar plexus bandha. I'm pulling in and to close the ribs. Really, some length in my low back. And then I have the ribs closed from the front, but I'm still extending up and through the sternum. Leg or shoulder injury. So why? Because when the arms are rotating out, it's like too much for those shoulders. So that can be done like when you do fitness, squats modification. I have the hands just here in front of me, or with hands on the hips. Or also super mod is to have the hands on the back of the chair. Go back into your squat as a super mod for that. So I'll go through it step by step and then we'll try it together. So standing from your mountain pose. I find all of my things. I root into the ground. I find the tripods of my feet. I adjust my pelvis. I think of lengthening. I bring my shoulders back and down. I just kind of settle my body back in. So, you know, we just went from talking theory, watching a video, doing this. I didn't do the warm-up. I did, you know, so I take that time to come into the pose. And when you're teaching students, especially first round of a series or whatever, however you're laying it out, hopefully you've had the opportunity to like teach all the poses from the start and then give them like a small flow at the end. So I'm teaching this to you as though you never saw the pose before, right? And this is hopefully you get the chance to teach people like that. So we come into all of those points, and then just like we've been doing today, I personally like to widen my feet. I know this already about myself, but if your students don't know, you're going to say, okay, think of sliding the weight back into the hips and folding at the creases. And so you can even be like pushing straight back and see my back is lengthening. My back is getting more long. So I'm hinging at the hips and then bringing my weight back to center. So that's like warm up exploration A. And then if it's there for them, say now bend down slightly and slide the hips back. And then coming back up. So breathe and exhale and go back. Encourage them to take the tail down. And then coming up. Inhale and exhale again. And get them to really work on that slide. So the weight is forward and back. The weight started forward and slide back and lengthen the tail. So then when it's time, if I don't go into this option, if they say I have a shoulder injury, I'm gonna slide back. Bring my hands to here. The extension of the hands here is to provide also counterbalance. So they can reach like this, just not in a high position with the upper back. So you can just like reach or like reach. I'm any reaching forward is giving me an opposition feel. We could try it in a second. So I'm gonna think of going back. And so I have kind of like a fitness hand mod, and then I'm gonna really tilt down. So here, and then I'm gonna hold and breathe. So fitness mod, I mean, they can be here if they make a mod, but waiting for burning quads when I'm ready to come up. I push up like that. From the balls in my feet. If they want to go down and their knees are fine, but usually I say try it on. And if someone has any pain in their knee, they will tell you at that time. Or if you feel like there's pain in your knee, you will feel it at that time. So don't go down and be like, see what happens. Like, just go back slowly. Let's see how my knees are today. Don't do it. I mean, trust me, don't. And even I'm teaching all of these rules, and I'm like, this is this. I use my body. Okay, so like, there's many times that I'm speaking to you from a person who's had many injuries. Also, some my fault, some not my fault. You know, so. And I'm in pretty decent condition. I don't have pain all the time. I've had many injuries. I did take a few years to like work cold injuries out of my body from coming to Egypt. But yeah, with the right therapy and consistency, everything can improve dramatically. Go away 100%? No. Unfortunately, no. But it's all right. It's all right. All right, so let's come to the front of our space. And then you will just kind of like practice this hinging at the hips. So I'm just kind of sliding. I'm kind of sliding back and sliding front. And I'm going to bring this little bit of a swing to it, this like pendulum shape. It's like happy face here, going that way, sliding back, and even go back on your heels and then come forward and come back. Come forward and just see how your hands are helping. If I go way back, like I'm just like, it's the opposition from there. So I really want this hinging from the hips and this lengthening of the back, forward and back. So then from here, I'm going to really inhale, lengthen. And I'll start to slide my hips back. I'll start to slide my weight back. So there's a time when my butt and my heels, like the weight, that line is almost over them, and then it passes. And I keep going back. At the same time, I get to like the end of what my crease can do this way. So to keep the hips going back, I have to bend the knees, keeps going. Just reach straight forward. Can be here, can be reaching. Again, I'm sending energy out. See, like it's helping my, and then rolling back to the front of the feet. And pressing up. And like we did in our practice this morning, I usually do 4, 2, 3, 4, and then a hold. So let's take it down into that. Other contraindications, I can tell you one right now that I'm feeling, because of the cold, my old injuries, I feel them more. So my Achilles tendon injury. So when I'm coming back here, it is super stretching that area. And I was like, oh, didn't even realize it was bothering me. It's not, it's just when I stretch it like that, it is. So contraindication, anyone that had Achilles heel tendon, Achilles tendon issue, this can stretch it. So anything that's intense stretching like that, or also stretching like that, can give it more stretch than it needs. So let's come open the chest, the collarbones are broad. Inhale and exhale. And then we'll begin to shift the weight back, bending at the knees at the same time. bend. So I want to think I'm going down and back, and then my arms are just swinging to the front. And as I go down, I feel like there's a little weight on my tail, pulling my tail to the ground. And I'm breathing and pulling the shoulder blades into the back. Pulling the low abs in, pulling the upper abs in. One more breath. And then we'll inhale, bring the weight front. And stand. So feeling all of those areas that we mentioned, abs, back, legs, it's very, very powerful, super strong working. All right, so now we're gonna prep again, and you guys will go into it, and I just wanna check for that. So inhale, prep yourself. So remember, and then we're going, and don't go all the way to your max on the first breath. Remember, you have 4 breaths. You can just be like down, 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 down. So down and back at the same time. Yeah, good. Go slowly. And remember, your arms can be lower, just to extend them out to give you that counterbalance. And slowly come up. You could try to do it a little more with your feet, a little more wider. Try. See how it feels for you. How does it feel? You feel more strong?
More stable.
More stable, yeah. Yeah, good, okay, don't suffer too much. You feel. Yeah, more stable. So always try. Sometimes we say hip distance apart. It's not like a rule that's like, you must, it's a guide. And everyone, like, most of my things are a little wider than hip distance apart, that I feel more stable and that I feel better. Any questions about this one?
This question. I'm feeling a lot of I'm not sure if it's tension or pain in my lower back here. Like I really feel, I guess because the muscle was underused for me.
So what about when you're in that where the pain starts? What about if you like just grab it in your mula bandha? That's super deep, deep, deep.
Yeah, it takes some pressure off.
Um,
But like, yeah, I can really feel it working like the back.
Yeah, and it's probably just because it could use some more strength, and then also like we all could use more strength everywhere, every day. Every day, every time. Like more strength is gonna fix it. It's the thing about everything. So really activating that mula bandha, really activating the low abs. So really strengthening the low abs because these muscles of the back, and also this is a tricky one. Getting the glutes to be engaged when you're stretching them, like an active stretch. Yeah. To have the glutes. So when I come here, like I'm gonna squeeze my bum a little bit. I try to. It's hard because I'm stretching it out. So like if I go a little wider, I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna try to squeeze my cheeks in here. And that's gonna support the back a little more from like this wrap, like here, right? It's better. But it's hard to kind of like, it's easy to go back and then your butt's just, it's like open, and then it feels like not engaged. So it's easy to go back, not engaged. So when I go here, not only will I engage to the abs, but I'll squeeze. It's gonna lengthen my low back like I'm doing, but I'm gonna do it from here. And it will be like this bit of a wrap under. So I get more support from my thigh and my glute. So just like go easy on that one, but that's exactly like, it's just making sure that the stabilizers and the ones that are supported weren't turned on. Yeah. So it's common to have. Also, when the body's pushed forward like that, it's like this is feeling responsible, but I'm gonna close here. And when I do that, I'm also gonna like close here, and the core is gonna sustain me. So I can do down that strong exhale and lengthen. And then I feel like I'm ready to do like Those football things. What do they call those? I don't know, but yeah, I feel like I want to do that when I'm in that position because I feel super strong, and those are so tiring if you've ever done it, like basically, or you feel like you're ready to run out of this position or check someone in that. It's like a super like a football position. This wrapping everything, and so again, nothing is linear in the body, right? So, whoops, yeah. All of this, yeah, be careful. All of this activation. Remember, there's no straight lines in the body. It's kind of going like wrapping, and it's wrapping like like under, and then it's all wrapping. Even these bones themselves have like spiral. If you, yeah, see, it's kind of like they're all kind of like they're all reaching and we're organic. So even this spiraling, this has been opening for months. I'm like, okay. But yeah, he's like twisting and then he'll come up flat, but it's coming up, like everything kind of reaches up in this, and we're no exception. So all of the fibers, sometimes when we think, okay, engage the glutes, because we're also learning, looking at this, the green highlighted muscle on the thing. So just again, remember that it's giving you an idea, and that we're a living threaded meat electric thing, and it's all spiraling. It's not just like, it's not oh, what's the word, like a electric grid. It's not laid out like that. It's like living. It's like mycelium living. So yeah, really squeezing. So lower back problems, in rest for a minute. Lower back problems is a contraindication. And like I said, the contraindications can show you what you need to work on. Of course, you need to explore these more than your student. You know what I mean? You're gonna be a yoga teacher. You need to explore them and know them really well. Spending time in them so you can explain it without looking at your notes. Like I can teach all of these poses, not looking at the notes pretty thoroughly, not forgetting that much stuff. And you know, because when I'm doing it, I'm like going through the steps from the bottom to the top. I'm like another step, and I'm not skipping any steps. So I'm very aware that when you're demonstrating something to people, you need to make it more clear, and you need to make it more big also. Any questions or issues or other things in your body that you feel in this pose, that's important to know. Because you're working, your frame of reference for these poses is your body. So if you have any issues, contraindication in your own body, you should like study that. So again, we had the press points. We have, remember I said shoot the energy from the fingers. So we have fingertips as a press point. Tailbone is a press point. What's the press point again? It's the line of energy. I'm sending the line of energy up through, out through, radiating down. So pretty much without the upper body, the next one goes into the standing yoga mudra. And you can find that one located on 173. So mudra apparently means symbol. Where else do we put mudra? The word mudra is often hand positions or symbols, and they mean different things. They're different keys of energy. Not something that you're going to study deeply in your 200-hour. If you get into more classical yoga, absolutely necessary to study. And also interesting to take notes. If you notice that you just do something, like especially when we're sitting quietly, you know, I have a few different ones that I do, it depends. This one helps me circulate my energy. This one, sometimes I'll be here because I use finger taps for counting sometimes for breath stuff. So like I'm counting and talking to you. Like multitasking teacher stuff. People when they're sitting meditating with the hands open, maybe they'll find themselves here, maybe they'll find themselves here, maybe they'll find themselves here. You can explore with those subtle energies because again, each finger is corresponding with a different meridian line, and that's again more deep, but very interesting. Very interesting. But it's not essential to your graduation for this. So I will tell you that it's interesting and cool, and you should check it out. All right. So the yoga mudra in my picture, I'm not as bent as I could be. I could truly be as bent as what we go in yoga mudra and fold it over. So we start bringing the hands behind the back. What if you have a patient that can't bring their hands behind the back? They can use a strap behind the back. They can use a stick also behind the back. Or even, this is not technically a strap, the yoga mat elastic. You can use anything behind a scarf, piece of fabric, their shirt, anything. Just something to give them something to keep the arms uniform and together. So you separate the feet a little wider than the hip width apart. Like as we spoke about, you can try that position. It will definitely never be closer than hip width apart. We'll say hip width apart or wider. Press down into the feet. So that's engaging the tripods of our feet. Lift out of the waist. That is lengthen. Chest and crown. Lift and up, engage your core. So what does engage the core? Pulling in the low belly. You can think of the Mula Bandha now, and also wrapping the ribs. We call it in dance, or closing the ribs, closing through the sacral chakra. Think of bringing those ribs together. Don't let them flare out. So that core activation. If you're having a hard time doing that, get used to it. Use that sound and learn what it feels like to activate your core because you absolutely need it. Yeah, engage the core. So inhale. Slowly sweep your arms out to the side. So that's assuming we're starting from like mountain pose. Okay, so I'm gonna go arms out to the side and back. So like kind of in one movement, I'll bring them back and behind. And when I clasp my fingers, if I'm not using the strap, I want to bring the palms together. I want to bring my palms together. From here, just like anything, I could use some time to adjust and get into my collarbones open wide and just maybe my shoulder got pinched up. I don't know if you heard that. It's a little crunchy. So, and then I pull back and I keep all of those points and I'm really opening, pressing my chest. I feel tension through my chest and pulling down along the outside of my tricep. From there, yeah, inhale, roll shoulders back and expand the chest. And then slowly lifting the arms away from the back, I go down, kind of I do it at the same time. So let me show you, and then we'll do it together just like before. So coming into your standing pose, everything's tamam, everything's the same as before. I'm gonna bring my hands behind, settle in, and even when I do this opens, like I pull this, and then this opens. So then I have to be like, close it again, right? So I'm always checking myself, because what are you thinking about when you're doing yoga? Hopefully nothing. Hopefully you're not thinking at all. You're in the stream of consciousness of what you're doing. So I'm observing myself, whether it's my breath, whether it's my movement, whether it's my body. I know what I want the shape of to run the prana, through my body. I'm running prana through my body with these lines, this concept of the lines. And in order to have the powerful line, stuff has to be stacked properly, and you feel it when it goes there. So every time that I make a movement or an adjustment, it will throw something of my alignment off, and I have to recalibrate. So I'm spreading my shoulders wide, closing my ribs, tightening through, Go a little wider. And then I'm gonna start to slide back, just like we did for Utkatasana. Slide back, slide back, slide back. And then bend, and bring my torso to my thigh. And relax. So as I bring my torso to my thigh, that's when I start to lift my arms. And if lifting your arms is only to here, it's okay. You just stay there. And then you just take them up as much as you can, keeping the palms together. And then you can experiment here on your lift or drop. My weight is pretty in my feet because my upper body isn't holding. Like it's not so much in my heels, it's pretty even. I can shift my weight side to side. When I'm ready to come out, like someone's pulling my hands back. It's gonna like initiate my movement back. I'm pushing into the floor with my feet. Lengthening up. Release. And your arms kind of get like a little floaty sensation. That's oh god, what's the word it was from earlier? That's an example of like contracting and like freeing, floating the area, or flushing the area, dredging, like getting old. So I kind of cut the blood off for my shoulders here, and then I kind of like they went back, and I could just float. Like you'll feel it. That was always something that I did in the old days. They liked it. They liked it. So okay. All right. Well, let's see some other points. Keep back flat as possible. So yeah, think about the back is flat, like how when you do fold over, like when we do and fold halfway, inhale half. And then when I get to this point, that's when I let myself be supported by my legs. So I get myself straight, even here. I was here. I pull this back to like help me. It's like to help me come up. Yeah, you want to get really smooth at your different hinging for when you're demonstrating. Like you want it to feel smooth. Like I know what I look like I'm doing because I did it so many times over and over again. Maybe when I go in my own practice, I might struggle some more, but when I'm in demonstration mode, I like know the feeling a lot. So you want to get memorized, like your muscle memory, you want to like commit it into your muscle memory. Anyway, and then drop the crown to the floor. Press the tailbone up. As you move, you slowly move to straighten the knees. What do you mean by that? Oh, okay. Great. So I'm here supported. I can stay here and breathe, but you can also press the tailbone up as you press into the floor with the feet. You can take it into forward bend. But it's still the yoga mudra. And then you'll come back through that. So yeah, if you keep going, you can go into a more stretch. That's going to be like if you're stretching through the backs of your legs. This will stretch the back quite a bit. Explore the stretch with micro movements, all of them. Should have that micro movements for all of them. Okay. To conclude, bend the knees deeply again, press down to feet. Oh, they just did a point form, then lift the chest. You know, I wrote this and sometimes I read things, I'm like, where did this come from? I swear to guys, I'm like, who wrote that? I have so many notes and combos and things from the years, and I read it, I'm like, where did this come from? I even had a student one time, she gave me like a stack like this of like dance combos, and I was like, wow, these are cool, cute. I was like, where'd you get these? She's like, they're yours. I wrote them down from class. I was like, oh, awesome. Awesome. That's having ADHD, yeah. It was like prolific work. I'm like, oh, that's great. And sometimes if I just go look at what past me did, I'm like, oh, yeah, the class is finished. I don't need to go. I'm like, I have to do the class plan. I'm like, I have like 400 of them. So yeah. Where did this come from? All right, so our press points for here are we're pressing into our feet, our hips that are sliding back. You can really think the ischium sliding back the two sits bones. Chest is another one, reaching forward. The tailbone, when you go to up, when you're in the forward bend. Arms, forehead, I don't, not so much. I'm not like stressing my forehead anymore, but I guess my pressing is going more towards the knees eventually. So it's closing this, reducing this angle. Benefits of this one, you can do it after the awkward pose because it opens up your lower back after. Relieves shoulder tension. Also, the awkward pose causes shoulder tension. Lengthens spine, stretches hamstrings. So, what version of it stretches hamstrings is when you straighten the legs. Opens the chest, brings blood to the head. Any inversion where you're upside down is good for your complexion. Your inner organs are stimulated as they hang upside down, and you maybe had enough time since lunch, so the features disturbing. This pose is often called an instant energizer. It relieves lethargy or like fogginess, grogginess, tiredness, and enhances the senses and concentration, invigorates the nervous system. Good at the office when you're feeling stiff and tired. Good for around shoulders, upper back, improving posture. Helps relieve constipation and hemorrhoids. So how? Strengthens nervous system. Relieving constipation and hemorrhoids, because it's actually the inversion is a little good sometimes. Instead of that pressure down, then people just like they can't. And the hemorrhoid is like also from pressure down. Even constipation, like they need to be more pressure down, but nothing's happening. So just like taking the pressure off and then letting it go back, kind of like again that floating but for here. Why is it called an instant energizer? Why could that be really opening through here? So often when we're tired, we just want to be like cozy, enclosed, and internal and that. So being in this is kind of aggressive, really like opening you to the front. It has back bend energy without the fear, I guess. So it's like a comforting closed pose, but it still has this like tension of the back bend where we're opening and pulling the collarbones apart. But it still has this internalness of having the head forward, having our face. We're not looking at anything so much there. You can be with your eyes closed, you're just looking at your own legs if you're looking at anything. I can't even remember if I had my eyes open or closed. I didn't see anything important when I was in this. Pose. A teaching tip is to use a tie for the first time, which is the strap behind the back. So it's usually 1/3 of your class will need to use one on a regular basis. Contraindications: high blood pressure. This is any inverted position. So inverted is when your head is below your hips. Excess body weight. Again, if someone is very large and they're putting like, think if they have this like, they're like I'm saying very, very large. And they have all this extra stuff. What's gonna happen when they go uptown is or upside down when they go uptown. And then they're gonna be like this. It's gonna come like it's gonna make them feel congested. It's gonna be a lot of pressure. It's gonna be like a lot of blood going into their head, and it might be too much to make them dizzy and also just be heavy. And they're like often a lot of people with a big upper body have little skinny legs, like they don't move usually. So their legs are like, or their muscular legs from supporting the weight, but they're not stable because they got that condition from usually sitting and not being very strong. Like the body's just loose. So yeah, being careful. I would say if you have again someone like obese, if we're in the category of obese, or even just like slightly awkward, some people have bigger pieces around them than others. Just get them to go to like halfway and then coming up. Yeah, and then just kind of see how they're doing from there. Yeah, it's dizzy when returning to standing from low blood pressure. Tuck the chin and curl up slowly. So instead of coming up like flat back, just like tuck the chin from this position. You're here. And just slowly, like, take your time. It's not as dramatic for the dizziness, and even still, if you have it, they can just like give them more of a chance to settle into their space. Acute constipation, acute hemorrhoids, yeah, so that's like again, it's kind of like the pressure down thing. Eye, ear, sinus problems, you know how it feels when you go forward, bending forward with the sinus, it's so miserable. Like if you do forward fold, like it's so difficult. It's so difficult when your nose is congested, and very miserable. So that's not a contraindication that can stop you 100%, but it really makes it bad. Also, any inversions can cause migraines because it's just that feeling of the blood rushing into the head to cause migraines. When you're new to inversions, you're gonna feel this like intense sensation, but again, stay very present with yourself and get used to it, because some of it is the capillaries, the veins that the blood is traveling in. It never traveled to these areas of the body. So we think of these little hoses, they're kind of like closed. And then when I go upside down, I'm sending blood to this area and it's opening. So I feel this intensity, I feel this flush, I feel this sensation. It's this, so getting ready to recognize that versus just being like, oh, I feel something.
Yeah.
Like, like I feel something, I'm scared, so just get to use to how it is. So common problems, students think they're more flexible than they really are. That's in all the poses. That's a rude awakening. Straight knees, locked knees. We want them to have the soft knees. Also on a day that you teach this, a good warm-up to be is the breath of joy. So we had that bounce in the knee, the bounce of the knee. Forgetting to breathe and micro movements. Those are contraindications for all of them, by the way. Yeah. That's about it. Let's try it. I always need to do that. Right, yeah, take your time. Come on. All right. So start to just think of that yoga mudra or awkward pose where we hinge at the hips and we fold it. So we kind of have this very similar action going on where I'm hinging at the hips, but I'm not like going back. And I'm like bringing my torso on my thigh. So also similar to downward dog. So I'm super bending. Then I'll roll up from there. So we know that we're gonna take it forward. So inhale and exhale from your mountain pose. Look at this. You know what I didn't smear. So and then bring your hands out. And then palms point back and I'm reaching back. And I bring the palms together and I bring the palms together. I lace the fingers, interlace the fingers, bring the palms together. I'm gonna push my shoulders down. Before I do that, I can roll them up and broaden through the collarbones and push them down. And then settle my hips, my legs, my ribs. Remember all those correction points or tweaks. And I'm gonna breathe and I'm like breathing against my chest. I have resistance because I'm really pulling back. And I'm gonna close through my low ribs. Widen the shoulders down the back. Pull down. It's like this pulling down action. I'm gonna widen my feet a little more just for my own knees. And then I'm going to inhale, start to take it forward, hinging, 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 hinging. And as I lay my belly on my thighs, I'll start to let my arms come up. I'm going to let my head just hang. And I'm going to breathe here. So breathe 1, 2, really bend the knees. Feel the scapula lift off the back, and then breaths 3 and 4. Lift your tailbone to the sky, straighten through the back of the legs. A more aggressive forward fold. Still in the yoga mudra. And you don't have to do this more stretching part. Inhale. Exhale, start to really bend the knees. Slide the head forward, and as if someone's pulling your hands back, slowly come up. The flat back, pushing. You can also roll up to, remember. And then as you release your fingers, just see if you get that floaty, that little floaty moment. And then stand and breathe. For the standing yoga mudra. I mean, that one, I love this action and need it a lot. But as you notice, when you go here and you pull back, there's a tendency for like the chest to close a little bit. So we want to really like push against it. And sometimes I'll take this position and do my neck step. Open my neck. Because again, it's like, you know, when we held our shoulder down and we're going, or like held it down, this is like super holding it down. Super holding it down. Any questions for standing yoga mudra? Or go ahead and try it one more time. Like walk yourself through the steps in your own mind. Be like, I'm teaching this in my class. Even you can like whisper to yourself. Talk to yourself. I talk to myself all the time. I heard that genius students like all this. Anyway, yeah, walk yourself through it. See that you remember all the steps. Oh my God. My God. No. My little I spend a big percentage of my day like playing with the dogs. I don't think enough of them. At least like 2 hours. Like I go in the morning and the night. So it was like shorter in these days because I'm busy. I pretty much went to sleep right after you guys let you know. I like made a tea and then messaged my mom and then went to sleep right away. And then yeah, and then I was out in the morning. I got up at like 7:30 to be with the dogs. My first school. Okay, any questions from this pose?
When, like, yeah, I'll go into it.
Yeah.
Some to do this, I'm finding this hard to close once I'm down in the final position.
Oh yeah, not necessary to super activate that, because it's not splayed open so much. Because I'm going forward, like for my own self, I'm kind of like, I'm going forward here, even though I'm pulling.
Yeah.
I guess I stabilize it, I keep it closed by having it on the knees. Can you bend a little more? Yeah. And then put the weight in here, feels a little, Yeah, if you bend a little more, like it's you're like this pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it kind of like this action here is like it's kind of holding them close. And if you're waiting for that, you're technically rounding forward. So the rib cage is taking this position anyway. It's kind of crushing the diaphragm, crushing the solar plexus. So yeah, don't worry too much about that. Good question, detailed, yeah. Any question for this week? Okay, next we have seated yoga mudra. Not much different to teach, but I'm going to segue it into one of the yin poses called Seiza. So the starting pose or the starting position for seated yoga mudra is like this. In yin yoga, they call this Seiza, which means seat in Japanese. Yin yoga is interesting because it's a newer form of yoga. It's not from Vedic history, it's not from Vedic philosophy, and I'm gonna do like, we talked a little bit about this, but I'm gonna go a little more into it in one of the online modules, so you have the recording, and send you also some recordings for this. So sometimes going into this position for some people is very difficult. And they're like, oh my God, you know, this is one that maybe there are some people that anytime that they put their knees down, it hurts them. And I don't know what that's from. I don't have that issue, so sometimes I forget, but it is a thing for sure. So maybe they can cushion their knees, maybe they can double up, bring a towel, double the mat, usually something like a pillow is much better for that. Yeah, this is cool too. My work up here. My work up here. Where if you're in the little jumps. Coming on to the knees. Then another part, being part, that I can hurt people off, is this position of the foot. Some people having their foot in this position, it creates a lot of pain for them. Often, yeah, it hurts them sometimes. That means they have probably plantar fasciitis. So the fascia plantar, the bottom of the foot, and the fasciitis, a problem. And usually inflammation and irritation. So plantar fasciitis is when, you know, we're learning about fascia and how it's like layers and layers of tissues and fuzz. So what happens if people put their feet inside of shoes and they never move their foot? And you know, sometimes when you're doing the circles of the foot, it's like, and then that's in the ankle, but also like the foot gets frozen. So the fascia of the feet of the modern human, 2025, is very underused. They don't use their feet. They don't even know they have feet. Okay, mostly everyone's living here. And they're just moving their body works and not thinking about it too much. So for them to bend and put shape on the foot, if I'm bending my foot this way, I'm pulling here and this is gonna rip that fascia. It's actually good for you, but for people who don't feel a lot of sensation at all, any sensation is pain. So people who don't use their body a lot, any energy or power, they mistake it for being horny. And then anything they feel, it hurts. So it's very like they're in the red chakra, they're in the base level, they haven't like expanded their consciousness or their awareness. If you feel like you fall into either of these categories, take time and expand your awareness. So stretching the feet. This should be a fine action, but for many people, it's very uncomfortable. A prep that you can get people into this shape and even work on your own is coming into the table pose. I just have the blocks to lengthen myself. This is just my personal preference. I didn't even think about it actually. I just got them. I just knew I like to be here. But you can be without the blocks are not necessary. I just like them. So I'm coming here, I'm stretching in my calf and also stretching my foot. Someone might feel like that's very intense. So I'm going to push back slowly. And just get them ready in that mood of massaging through the foot. Sending energy through the foot, so stretching. And this way there's no weight. The weight of their body is not on their foot. And then also this is one if you have extremely tight calf muscles, this is a really great one to just hold. And let's take it for the other side. Rolling forward through the foot, so this can be a great prep. Calf muscles, downward dog, putting your foot in this position says that people are not used to it. And bringing it in. So if I bring it in like this, I curl my feet under. Another option is that they can put a block here, and so they're a little higher, but this is for to take the pressure off the knee. So when I'm down, I have this pressure of the knee pulling on my ligament, the bone on bone connector, the little fibers between my bones. I can feel them being pulled a little bit. So if I want a little less pulling on the bone from this position, I'll increase my angle. And then this can also help me sit up a little bit, and it takes the pressure off of my knees a bit. Or this. So this is like kind of to come into this position. The Seated Yoga Mudra, we come forward, and like when we were in the other position. So now I'm like teaching 2 poses at a time, okay? So Seiza is this one, like seating. And so if I were to come forward from this, and then the seat means, here, sorry, I'm going back to Seiza. The seat means you're going to sit here for some time and meditate. So in yin yoga, you would sit in this position 4 minutes. And it's gonna like, it'll start to feel intense in the feet actually. So we would sit here for 4 minutes. Again, the seat. If we're in standing yoga mudra, we do all that prep of the arm stuff that we had already. Or yeah, seated yoga mudra. Let's say that person. Inhale, prepping the body, and I'm gonna take myself forward. And I'm gonna like into this like halfway where I let my head come down. We did the practice this morning, and I roll forward slightly on the crown of my head, but my weight is very much here. I don't want to be up like this and have my weight coming and squishing my neck. I don't want any weight on my neck. I want it like the head is like barely touching. It's hanging. From here, you can leave the arms on the back, or you can take them up like you did in the other one and increase the angle as you roll onto the top of the head. So from here, I can sort of just come here, come down, bring my forehead down gently. And then it's there for me. I'll take it up, take the arms up. And I'm pulling back my energy of my butt and my thighs, I'm pulling it backwards so I don't have too much weight. So I'm really trying to send that part of my body back as I'm here. And I'm active in my thighs, even though I'm kneeling. Might look like I'm resting, I'm not. And so when I'm ready to come out, I'm going to start to bring my butt down to my heels again as I bring the hands onto my back. And use the hands to kind of pull me up and back. And then release me like at that floaty arm thing again. Yeah. Just go with it and sit. So contraindication for sure in the seated yoga mudra is the neck. For sure. Super. Let's see here. For variation sore knees, we put the pillow between the floor or hamstrings and calves. There's also, and straighten the toes like this. No, you can't, but you want to get your feet into this position. So you have to deal with your stretching or your plantar fasciitis. No, and yes, you can. This gives you just not as a strong. You're not gonna be as seated as strong. Here, you're just kind of like. Your legs are less active and they'll be sleeping. So because we need to hold the body up. Here. So this is more difficult. My weight will go more forward here. I'm more springy able to, but like again, work on it slowly. If it's causing you a lot of pain, then like choose the option that doesn't cause you pain. Another hack is not necessarily hack, but a modification, I should say. Is if you have a rolled up towel, I'm going to use this rolled up mat. We put the block under the seat. You can also do this to give that ankle support, just so they're not flat. A little bit, you can put them under, or you can put something not as big as the block. There also, to give you if it's a little bit. Also for some people having like sitting like this for a while with your ankles open like that can also cause, so if you're finding it very difficult or uncomfortable, alternate between the two, but work on both of them. Because one position in one way and the other can just also lead to damage. And if it's too much to have the weight, you can just like bring the block and sit on the blocks. So I'm elevated slightly. And I'm like literally sitting on a little stool. Here I still have the feet bending, but I'm not like holding. And I'm elevated slightly. So I'm here, some people prefer that. Or they'll sit on a bolster, like the long cushion. They'll sit on the bolster that way, and then they can go forward. But regardless, you're gonna lift your bottom up as you take it forward and on the head. And then you just want a position that you can like roll back onto your center. So for the sore knees, for excess body weight, place head or chest on a pillow. So again, we were talking about the burdens of having excess body weight. So they don't bend as far. I'm using a block, but you could have a big cushion. They can be like this. So yeah, you can do, they could be like this. Or if you had a big cushion here or a bolster here, it could be like that. Or they would be like this. This kind of changes what pose it is at that one point, but that's still to give everyone options. Again, the low blood pressure thing, anytime you bring the head, if it's been below the hips, you can roll up slowly. You can roll up slowly. Tight ankles. So a thin towel between ankles and the floor if you have your feet down. How that feels. This time. Using time. So from here, let's say when we're forward in the yoga mudra, let's say work on your seiza here. Going forward. And then when you go forward in the yoga mudra, open to here. And then press the feet into the ground. As long as it doesn't press your head into the ground. That's the only thing that I'm concerned for. It's kind of similar to when we took staff pose. That's what we did today in the practice. Staff pose, it looks like you're just like kind of sitting there, but I'm pressing my legs into the ground. Like if this was clay, I'm trying to make a shape of my legs into the clay. So I'm really pressing. So even if the foot is relaxed, I'm pressing the top of my feet. We have it into that. So how do I be doing that? Pressing into the top of my feet. Arms, hands, and legs benefits, same as the other yoga mudra opens the chest arms, knees, it puts pressure on these different joints, it shuts off the different joints so that when you straighten again, we have a flush of fresh juice of blood lymph moving through that area. Contraindications are knee injuries. Again, someone with a knee injury doesn't want to sit in that folded position like that for too long. It could be too intense for them. You could also get them, like I put a block in between there. You could also get them with a cushion in between there. But if it's a really bad knee situation, you could have them sitting on a chair, folded over like that. And then the knees are not bent at all. And chair yoga is a whole other dimension. There's certifications on there. However, you can apply every single one of your things to chair yoga context and help a lot of people. As for all poses where the head goes below the hips, unregulated high blood pressure could be an issue or just kind of make someone feel dizzy or pass out. Recent abdominal surgeries, anytime that you're putting pressure on the abdomen, we want to make sure it's not after recent abdominal surgery. The common problems, other contraindication, too much weight on the head and neck, lack of focus, and don't forget breathing. Those are for every pose. But yeah. Because it can be distracting the knee and the ankle. So you have to remember if there's something in a pose that's like painful and worries you and it's distracting you for the pose, you can take that pose out of your lexicon. Why? If it's causing you pain and what? If you're, and that's just for you, you can create a whole flow without any particular one. But again, we want to look at the qualities of the pose and see what it's bringing to us. And then if I can get that with other types of movement, maybe just putting my body into this particular shape is not working for me like that. All right. Any questions in the front? Yeah, go ahead and try it on and see if you have any questions.
What if I can't get the weight into my legs? Somehow like into my feet. Like when I'm bent over, I feel like I'm fighting to get the weight back.
Oh, when you go forward, you mean?
Yeah, like I almost feel like I'm gonna fall forwards. And I don't feel grounded in my feet. I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
It's hamstring extension. So it's hamstring extension. So to press my feet more into the floor more, I'm like pushing down, it's the hamstring. Okay. So think about squeezing all the glutes to help activate it, and then squeeze it, and then slowly go back.
Okay. Yeah,
I kind of have a little bit more of a squeeze going on in my leg, and then I'm going there. But even from with the toes, so I start with the squeeze. Because this is not, we're not in passive poses. We're not in yin poses. So if you just go and flop your body into the shape, most of the time it's like, what have we been talking about? These very big muscle groups. Engage. You have the rest of the day to let it to let it fly or do whatever, so really engage. When I do that, squeeze, I feel this wrap through my hips. I squeeze through my quads, I engage, brings this openness to my pelvis. So bringing it further down, that's either with my feet flat, if I want to really press. Anyway, just keeping my legs awake, the feeling that I even have legs. So yeah, great observation. And even though I didn't have that in the step-by-step, just get into your mind that in these hatha poses, we're doing often active stretching, and everything's kind of working for the term. Like squeeze, and then I'll have a release my integration, but the muscles are like in an active shape. Yeah, and I mean, that's what yoga is, again, that's what it's used for. We use it to observe these imbalances in the body, and then through consistent practice, we can start to balance the body and yeah, bring strength and stimulation into those places that might otherwise feel dead or might not otherwise feel activated. Okay, so we talked about the knee tracking also, for both of those poses require the knee tracking. And then hip mechanics, the rotation of the hip. We'll get a little more into that. Spine neutrality, yeah, being able to have, what are the muscles around the spine that need to like hold it? Like you were saying, that pain in your back, like where do I need to support myself from? Okay, cool, I'll leave that. Yeah, teaching yoga in Egypt was way different than teaching yoga in the West. The demographics were way different. It's like, well, where I'm from in the West, it was more older people. Here it's not older people, it's younger people, and even if they're not doing the form properly, they're still going for it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's not like where older people are like, oh, I have this and this and this. Yeah. Here probably people have issues that they're not going to yeah, I listen to. All right. We're going to page 215. Actually, we'll go first to the one that we find. I'm 90. Jesus, why would I reference Twitter founders? What was I talking about? Why would I use that as an icon? Like that's where they wrote that. Even though they're successful and functional, they still incorporate these things into their lives. Right.
That's the way I'm saying.
Right, yeah, yeah, massively successful now, I guess he sold to Elon Musk, so he won,
Yeah.
right, so. So when did I write this book in 23? Actually, in 23, when did they make X? And that's like shortly after that, or maybe that's why.
Yeah.
If you asked me the Twitter founder, I wouldn't be able to tell you their name, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that's right. You can't confirm, I have to fact check myself, like, why did I write home? It's so weird. That's weird.
Have you done the silent meditation?
You did a class in that?
Yeah. Awesome.
The closest I've done to that, I've done like a day and a half of being silent.
Yeah.
I have never done the Vipassana, even when I'm by myself, like I've spent time by myself, like at least 10 days, it's a 10-day silent retreat. I've spent definitely that amount of time alone, but never super silent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know all the rules of Vipassana, I don't know if you're not allowed to sing or vocalize, or I don't know if it's just engage, I'm not sure 100%. But I know many people who have, and they said it was super transformation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there one somewhere it's happening, or the?
A lot of my friends do them in the UK. It's a really famous centre.
Yes.
There, and then people go for like, initially you have to go for the week.
Yeah.
And then you can go and do like it's 3 days, but everyone has to do.
Yeah, that's like a 10-day for
an
initiation one, yeah. Yeah, do you need to go to the washroom? No, I'm gonna go to the washroom and then we're at 191.
Media meditation. Find that environment like meditation came with my eczema. I have eczema my whole life and it comes in goes in waves. And the last time I had it, I was about 22. And the doctors tried everything. And I used to run sunbeds because the sun.
Were you taking puffer or eczema?
Yeah, the itchy.
Yeah, the skin.
And I was working like 14-hour days on a job.
Oh.
And it just totally burnt me out. my body became completely inflamed.
Oh,
Like my eyes were puffy. It was crazy. And I started meditating every day.
and what did you make a like a scene in your meditation? Did you actively tell yourself to heal? Like,
I had like a three-step process.
okay.
The first was doing a body scan, just feeling everything, like all the pain of the eczema. And then I would envision my reflection, and that I'm breathing into her golden like light, and then just like keep clearing all of the disease, skin disease. And then I would just like integrate that reflection back into me. And after about 3 months, 3 to 4 months, it all just cleared.
Amazing.
I haven't had it since.
Amazing. Yeah, no, there's lots of like the Mind Valley founder Vision. He's maybe it was eczema he had also. He cleared something through his meditation.
Yeah.
Picturing this, there's very many documentation of this, the power of the mind. Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And you can really do it to be anyway and picturing. I mean, they're realizing now how much everything is like quantum this, quantum that, and it's kind of like you said, kind of picturing another alt timeline of yourself without this and taking it in, or like what was it recently? Scientists are proving that decisions in your present. Decisions in your present can affect your past. So bad. Sorry guys. Here, I was just thinking I just need to see this one thing, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to shove it and keep it organized for you. So a practice that clears the mind. What is meditation? It helps us focus the attention of the mind from being scattered to many different things. To just a one-pointed focus, if we can. The one-pointed focus. So we are drawing our attention in our yoga practice in a one-pointed focus. As we inhale, feel the air enter at the tip of the nose. So we're giving a visual and a feeling. Feel the ribs expand. Feel the body expand. This is breathing, pranayama. But this gives the mind a point of focus. So as I mentioned, I've been teaching yoga for a long time, and I don't think I actually did a meditation. Proper meditation, like what it means to meditate. I don't, if I'm brutally honest with myself, just sitting to meditate, no, probably not before 2023, so like 2 years ago. For just sitting in meditation. However, I feel like I experienced meditation with a lot of my movement practices as a meditation in motion. So meditation in motion. But I was like, okay, well, I have to get this other meditation. Then I was like, no, I'm a dancer. Of course I'm in motion, you know? So then I went between these things. And then when I took my life coach certificate with Mind Valley, they use a form of meditation called the 6-phase meditation. I don't know if you've ever tried it. We'll do it. We'll kind of close tonight with the 6-phase meditation. Some supported shapes. And for the 6-phase meditation, they start with bringing an emotion into the body, which is the emotion of compassion. So it gives you an anchoring point in the body in which to bring your attention. So you're inhaling, and you're exhaling forever. We're always doing it. And then the first thing you'll do in the phase 1 of this meditation is you'll picture someone that you truly love. It can be your friend, your mother, your father, your pet, someone, a lover, husband, boyfriend, it could be anyone. Someone that when you feel them, They make you feel cozy, they make you feel safe, they make you feel nice. It's like a nice, expanding feeling. And you hold that feeling as you think of them. And you breathe into that feeling. You can let the face or the image of that person disappear, but we hold the feeling, maybe a color associated with it. We breathe into that and we let it expand from our own body. So we let it expand outward, filling your room, and then reaching beyond the edges of your room, and then out into the world. It was from this starting point that I developed like my own way of doing my meditation, which I call gridding. And that's another thing, not related to the training. But you know, you can all point is you can develop something on your own, how it works for you. You know, so I kind of started with this method that put me in there, and I just went into this other method that worked for my brain. So from then, you think of another quality, you think of a good experience at your work, maybe receiving salary, maybe receiving a compliment, maybe you like achieved a goal, something that's like, so you move kind of through this list of feelings, you envision a protection around yourself, and then tell us you're done your meditation. And then you picture your perfect day. I do this part all the time. Like when I wake up and I have my date, I know what's gonna happen. My meditation in the morning is I'll kind of like go into that space, walk through it, and then I picture my day. I do it a lot at night before I go to bed, actually. I picture my next day. I'm like, I have this to do at this time, tuck, tuck, tuck. So I picture what I want to achieve in my personal time before the day starts, like my home rituals, workouts, fitness, whatever. Food prep if I want to do that, and then my meeting. Why am I having the meeting? What's the result I want in the meeting? Picturing the result I want happening. I picture my day, my perfect day. How do tomorrow goes perfect? How does it look? And I spend time visualizing what that looks like. You could argue that that's visualization, or like a Silva technique, mental screen technique, meditation. It doesn't matter. Develop something. Go in and find something that works. And then like planning your day, perfect day, is really, really helpful. I don't know if it falls under the category of meditation, but I get there from the category of meditation. So lots of world leaders talk about meditation. Here I referenced the Twitter founder, I'm not sure why. Bill Gates, who else? All of them, pretty much. Oprah, Deepak Chopra, I've seen this. All of these people, I've seen this, but all of these people who have achieved great things in their life or commercial success, which is what society looks as great things, use meditation to come with their clear thoughts and you know, and then from not necessarily famous people, TV, not as famous, and then with her own experience, you know. And for me, truly, like hearing someone's own personal experience has way more value than I've seen those people and their experience. I don't know them even, you know. I don't even know if they're real.
Yeah.
I don't know. They might not even be real. So thank you for sharing your story with us, because it's more a little less famous than you. Right here in our own class. So having these stories, and then chances are we opened up this topic. So your phones are listening, your algorithm is listening. So maybe you'll get some like weird stuff on Instagram or whatever from your algorithm, or you start having some conversations with people that you know. And then maybe they have something to tell you, or I tried meditation and I didn't, or I tried and I got this crazy. Like, just start talking to people. Like, oh, it's open. Now it's open. Like, put it out there, see what you find out, do your own acquire your own data. It's one of the fastest growing health trends amongst adults and children. The point of the asana, or the poses that we focus so heavily on, was so that the yogi could sit for long hours in meditation. Because if the body's all bound up and you have to like squirm around and you're uncomfortable, how can I sit in my one pointed focus? And my focus is focused on the pain in my ass, you know? So I need to figure out how to sit long. And this is how they realized through the practice of yoga and freeing the binds in the body, that they can sit longer for their meditation. It's another limb of the 8 limbs of yoga. And we'll do a few different types of meditations. Actually, it says, I don't know if I put squeezing all this here or not, but I added it in. Because I did that in 23. I think it overlaps when I finish this book and when I discovered that. But yeah, please continue your education and exploration of meditation. So even if the ones that we do together, you're like, I didn't feel anything. Try them at different times and then go with other teachers and try more. You know, I always encourage that. I always encourage that. The app Headspace is really good. I think you can get it for free if you've never got it. I think you can get a trial period for 14 days, which is really great. Have you guys tried that? Okay, so I think you can get a free trial if you haven't, or make another email, get a free trial. And then we want to have between our next session online, which I'll give you guys the dates tomorrow and on tomorrow. I want you to come back with a little bit of feedback from your process of attempting meditation. So what do we need to remember about meditation? Everyone can do it, and we don't need any equipment or location. So now, what's really banging in the Middle East, Egypt, and Dubai is floating breathwork meditation, or 9D meditation. So they're taking polytropic breathwork, and they're taking audio space in the headphones, and they're creating this. They're calling it 9D breathwork, but it's as a type of meditation, and a breath and breathing meditation, and moving through. So that's super hot right now. Get a decent pranayama practice or a breathwork practice before you go to these things, because they're just very extreme if you haven't. And unfortunately, a lot of the facilitators, they like you to have an extreme response in their care. They want you crying about your dead grandmother or your inner child, because then they feel like they're sent from God assisting you. I don't want that in my class. That means people coming to my class needed help bad before they got there. I want to work with some better balanced people, not people on the edge of psychosis. And I don't want to be the one responsible for pushing them to the edge of psychosis. But it's kind of people want to have something transformational. Okay, I'll lose my mind. That's transformational. I'll transform into crazy completely. So breathwork can have these very, very intense effects. Very intense effects, especially if people have unregulated psychosis, or bi-personality disorder, bipolar. So people with those types of personality disorders, and you might not know, and because it's personal information. Breathwork can really do some stuff. Again, working with the nervous system, it's shifting the nervous system out of a mode probably too quickly, and then that is going to cause some type of fracture. Again, we want to worry about yoga training. Why do the yoga training? Because technically everyone can move their bodies. It's not what we do for yoga. It's really, we want to know what not to do and what to expect. That's why rules come. That's why trainings come, because people did it in such a way that ended up with other people in a bad way. So they're now we need rules and regulations. So we're avoiding complications. You know what I mean? We want to avoid complications. And even though the wellness industry and everything's cool to good vibes, there's a very dark side of the wellness industry that people coming in the wellness industry, especially in a country like Egypt, where wellness has been neglected for a long time. It's just new. I'm on my healing journey. It's dude, you were traumatized for 40 more years, easy, without deep therapy. It's a traumatizing country to live in, especially if you grew up here. Trauma out. and you might not even realize, just as woven into the culture, super, and what you have to even see every day is traumatic here. So for this wellness journey to come without addressing fundamental problems in society, it's gonna have a lot of friction, and this is kind of the issue of the wellness. I feel like the only place people criticize Dubai a lot because of, oh, it's glam and this. That's a place to have a wellness industry because people are mostly well, they're doing well when they're there, so they can afford to participate in the wellness industry. But a country here, there's many challenges. So go more on the modest side when it goes to like breath work and meditation. Going into it and being like, I want to have a transformational, something like, what does that even mean? Transformation is not like like this. It's like a very slow unfolding. Like think about a rose or a flower opening. It's a very slow. If I want it to come out faster, I want you to transform faster. I erect it, and I open it, I erect it. So it's the same with your psyche and your nervous system. We go through a lot and we're tough bitches, but we're also sensitive, we're also delicate. So like give yourself that in your students that like treatment. So meditation, you don't need equipment, you don't need to be in a financial bracket, you don't need to have the yoga pants, you don't, you can do it anywhere. It's practiced in many different ways around the world. Nearly every religion has meditation practices in their tenets, often used for religious or spiritual purposes. Many people practice meditation independently of their religious beliefs. So they might have their religious beliefs and they have their meditation, however, they for sure overlap. And that's a whole other what's happening in the physiology. So the effects and the impacts of meditation, this can be for your essays tomorrow. Impacts and effects of meditation for the essay of why do yoga? If there was a super hater asking you why I should do yoga, it's going to be the same as meditation, the effects. So plenty of evidence supporting the benefits: low blood pressure, reduced stress, better sleep, better emotional regulation and increased focus, enhanced mood, so better mood, reduced aggression, greater adaptability. So that comes from being improved emotional regulation and not anxious. Healthier aging process. You don't look as old as you age. Someone who's like stressed and like squinting all the time, like frowning and like uncomfortable, like it shows on your face sooner when you're not like in peaceful, happy mood. It shows like
Does that get on my face? Does that get?
Well, nothing's gonna appear on your face. You're 29. Wait, it will appear all of a sudden. Give yourself 6 years and then and then me in 6 years too. Anyway, it will start to appear like signs of aging. You can have like no skincare routine and like nothing up until like a certain age, and then all of a sudden it will just be like. Where I see it the most, like with my friends when I go back to Canada, are the friends who drank a lot of alcohol. I don't not drink, but I'm not a drinker. So I'll have like a glass of wine or gin or something, champagne on the plane. You know what I mean? Things like that. But I never live my weekends every weekend. I'm like, oh, let's get hammered. It's like a Canadian thing. They love to be drunk a lot. And UK Bargo, they drink. And that was never my like. Yeah, I mean, I was never into that so much. I mean, that smoking has its own problems, I'm aware. But the friends, especially over the age 38, 40, by the time they got to that, what happened to you, man? And they're all like, very, like, I mean, we get signs of aging. We age, it's natural. And it's fine. But like, when they look advanced and not well, or they look like just some vitamins were stolen from them, and that's exactly what it is. So alcohol is a big, and then they didn't do any yoga or meditation to help them. So you can be a little harder on your body if I always say it's healthy, not healthy. Like I know a lot of people in showbiz So our lifestyle when you're in showbiz is not always the most healthy. You're traveling, you're working, you didn't always have time to warm up, there's drinks, you're up late, pass a cigarette, whatever. It's not a healthy lifestyle. And weird hours, up all night, up all day, up for days, who knows? You have to just see, yeah, by the time you're at that in that world, like your nervous system is already you already know how to deal with that, the being shot nervous system. So a healthier aging process. Yeah, and more connection, empathy with others. So research has shown that yoga and meditation can have physiological as well as psychological and spiritual effects, including lower cortisol levels. This would be physiological. Decreasing resting heart rate, reduced respiration rate. So that means you're taking less breaths per minute. That this is shown in research now. The less breaths that you take, the longer that you live, technically. So it's slowing down the breath rate. It also, when you are able, like say you were running, and then you're like, start to do your cool down. So I transition into fast walking. What am I trying to do? My heart rate was here because I was running. Then I'm going to bring my heart rate down. I'm also not going to continue to breathe in that strong way. I'm going to be like, and gradually bring my heart rate down by bringing my breath rate down. So thinking of that, that is again, decreasing the resting heart rate, the reduced respiration rate. But yeah, anyway, your Instagram will bring these populated and changes in brainwave patterns. So they're talking about alpha, gamma, theta brainwaves. That's a whole other interesting world, and you can use it in your meditation. Different brainwave states. They have lots of these audio clips online nowadays called your theta beats, or go on YouTube, gamma wave meditation brainwave. Go look at different brainwaves. Look at the one that you want and try it. You can find some like audio for it. Improve notional well-being, better stress management skills. Yeah, you just function better. Again, as we mentioned earlier, your machine, that is the human body, can work better when it's oxygenated, when it's nervous system. So think of the nervous system like the electricity, the wires of electricity in a building. And like if the electricity goes whoa, and it surges too much power, it will maybe like shut the breaker or turn something off. So that's like, think about when we have too much like unregulated energy through the nervous system or something that stresses us, it puts that surge of electricity into our nervous system. And then I'm like, it's like blow the breaker on something, or we just like, we just like tap out nervous system. So this is a way to keep the voltage of the nervous system down, diffuse the heat of the nervous system so it's not a hard surge. There's lots of research to be done. There's lots of research coming. There's huge research coming in meditation. As yoga teachers, you can choose to get really, really into meditation in your classes. If you're like, oh, I'd love to do the meditations, you can go into that. Do a little bit of pose work, do super meditations. It's usually depends. I started getting into like doing more just meditations just recently this year, and then doing I did mostly pose work. But you just see what's your interest and what you're good at, or what you feel like you're good at. That's the most important part. What do I feel? Where do I feel like is my niche? Where do I feel like I'm good at this? Or what is very interesting? So interesting to me that I want to stay up all night reading about it. Like that's your thing, you want to find out. So much research, it's coming. Do research on yourself. Collect your own data. It's really the best way of doing things. We live in a time that there's more stress than ever before. Maybe there was more stress when they had no flushing toilets. I would think, but it's like not. It's a pretty stressful time to be here. So when you're starting your meditation, you don't need to sit for hours. You don't need to sit. You can literally just start with like under 2 minutes, under 30 seconds, and just try to drop in. Set a timer. Choose your best, or do your best to choose a quiet area where no one will bother you, especially, and where you won't bother yourself. So that's where no cell phone alerts, no like dirty pile of laundry nagging you over on the side if you open your eye and you're like, oh god, I gotta do my laundry. Like stuff like that, like put yourself against the wall so you don't look at any of your dishes or distractions or kids or anything. So same as we drop in and we go into our ujjayi breath and we start to breathe. Oh, sit in a comfortable seat, a chair, the couch, something. If you're gonna take your bed, try to sit upright because it's really easy to fall asleep. Super, super easy to fall asleep. So there's an acronym in Kripalu Yoga called BRFWA. And it's BRF, BRFWA, and it means BRFWA. No one says that word. I was always annoyed when my teachers told me that, but I'll tell you the acronym. Like, that's not a word I'm gonna remember. I remembered it. So it means breathe, relax, feel, watch, and allow. So this is kind of your process, also in the Kripalu Yoga, but also in your meditation. So you're going to start to think about this practice. Maybe you have already. You're going to start to think of this particular style of yoga as a meditation in motion. So where we're holding the 4 breaths, then we come into the integration. It's a different sensations in the bodies, but it's also a meditation in motion. And the motion is not so complex. It's based in the repertoire of poses. So as we start to breathe, we allow ourselves to relax. And we start to feel. Often we're busy, we don't even have time to feel. We're not feeling. You only feel usually if it's like some injury nagging you or something like, that's uncomfortable, you know. Just take a time to feel. That's not just physical sensations, that's emotional sensations also. Watch your feelings. Okay, I'm feeling like this. And instead of making a story about it, oh, I feel like this because this person said this to me, I hate them, whatever, I feel like this. Usually we can go to blame, oh my god, I said that yesterday, that was so embarrassing, I should have never said that, or something in the future. So I'm thinking about other people, thinking about the past, I'm thinking about the future. Oh my god, I have this test, I don't know what I'm gonna do, it's gonna be so strict. Like, you don't need to think of that right now. So we watch. And then when we notice ourselves doing that, because we're surely going to do some type of manic shit like that when we go into our meditation. We're gonna do it for sure. Because the mind does that. So when I start to breathe, allow myself to relax. I actually start to feel. And then I watch myself feel, I'm like, oh god, embarrassing. So instead of thinking, oh god, embarrassing, just feel, we watch ourselves feel, and we just allow it to happen. So when I be like, oh, that's embarrassing, I want to stop that flow, right? I'm like, oh, I gotta stop that. Allow it, watch it, and allow it, and just be like, oh wow. I'm really like making a lot of thoughts right now. And then bring your awareness back to an anchor, which is the breath. Bring going back, looping back to cycle 1. Use the breath to help yourself relax. Keep feeling. Keep watching. And then this whole process keeps going and allowing yourself to just exist without going into the future, going into the past, going into like your drama, creating drama. No one else knows what's going on in there, right? So this acronym is kind of, you can circle it through during your meditation process. So sitting, so focusing on your breath, you notice as any thoughts come or go, you just allow them to pass without judgment. Don't analyze, don't dissect anything, don't break it down, and just notice. And keep your awareness coming back to sensation, usually anchoring through some type of sensation in the breath. Either entering in the nose Breathing from the mouth. Feeling that expansion of the body around the breath. Also the sound of your inhalation. The sound of your exhalation. So the types of meditation that we're going to explore, and that there's many types. It involves concentrative or mindfulness meditation. You'll hear a lot of this in the corporate world. Mindfulness. This is mindfulness. Is the breathe, relax, feel, watch, allow in action with everything you're doing. You can apply that. Sometimes when I have like way too many things on my plate and they're like expensive, that's like the only time I really get stressed. I'm not a stressy person. When it is expensive and I can't figure it out, I'm like, oh, that's when I get really, and I will worthwhile myself, and I'll be like, okay, you gotta like go through these steps because you're getting a little crazy. You know how I can see when it's happening. So our concentration or mindfulness meditation involves refining the focus to one specific point or item and not considering anything besides it. So people do this through mantra, people do this thing about Sikh when they're like, Allah, Allah, and they're doing their Sikh little picture, or live, laugh, love, or whatever your mantra is, or Om Namo, Shri Krishna Namo, these different Indian mantras, which I don't love to do Indian mantras. I'm very practical of my own self. I'm more of like talk myself down. Say like, you're okay, you're safe, you're fine. I'm like tough love even for my own self. But lots of people have different methods, so knowing your method is important. So guided meditation, you can use an audio scape or a thing, and that can give you something to focus on to harness the fluctuations of the mind, because the mind will for sure fluctuate. Doesn't make you good or bad or less self-control or anything. It just is the nature of the mind. That's why we have all these practices, mindfulness, wellness, because we are inherently very intense with our flow of thoughts. We have meditation and motion, which is like our practices, and there's many different practices. Dance, yin yoga, not so much because it's not so much motion. Propello, any like inhale and then exhale. These ones, whirling is a meditation in motion. Repeating a dance combo over and over and over. People who've taken ballet, doing your pliés and tendus at the bar, level 1 ballet is kind of a meditation in motion, you know, even though you've done it a lot of times, you can just kind of go access that state and be in there. Walking meditation. Cooking is a meditation. I definitely wrote that. That's definitely something I would really enjoy to look at my colors of my food and like the cutting and be mindful. Try not to chop your fingers. If you're like not paying attention, that's when you get your injuries. Keep your intention, which is to make some beautiful food in your setting, and to, just be with the food, so focusing on one thing. Now I'm going to consume this thing, I'm going to eat this red pepper, let's say, I'm going to cut it up, and just focusing on that. And if you can just bring your attention to that while it's in your hand, while you're working with it, you're not like distracted and divided, and it gives your mind a chance to quiet. In all of my life coaching certificates or happiness coaching certificates, it really comes down to simplify your life. The bottom story, the bottom line of everything is simplify your life. It's not like, oh, I have to get better at multitasking. No, you don't, because you're not even good at it at all. You're not even good at it at all. So like getting better at being just present with one task. This is the hack. I can guarantee you this is the hack for being a functional human moving forward in society. People are not functional whatsoever, and they cannot focus, and their memory and their attention is shit. Those are not good for survival skills, which you're going to need in the next
5 to 10 years. Big time. You're gonna need to pay close attention. Yeah, it's not. It's a disturbing time. So spiritual meditation. When you're in your prayer, if you're doing Islamic prayers, you know, when you're doing the Islamic sun salutation. Yeah. Fold. Sujood. Back. Your Islamic sun salutation. So my theory behind this is a little deviation, but I'll just say, and no one has really, like, no researchers have really talked about this, but the Prophet, peace be upon him, his location geographically, he was on the Silk Road, and lots of people were coming through Mecca at this time. It was on carrying spices, silks. There was trade happening, and even his Khadija was a trade. You know, he was a hustler of the time, and he spoke to many different people. Many. So what are the chances? Maybe he saw some Indians traveling, yogis back in the day would have been a lot of them were toward as sensationalism, because a lot of yogis, they'll do like those long fingernails, or they won't comb their hair for like, these are like the shock records of yoga, different, usually Agori yogas are a different branch of yoga. There's many. And so they would also tour kind of like circus acts, kind of like freak shows of the time. That was still okay to do. Maybe they would do it to themselves. So what are the chances, maybe, that he witnessed Indians and yogis and co-opted that for his own? Because no one talks really about those. Yeah. By the way, but I don't know about you, but it looks like some salutation.
I always think it feels like the type of salutation.
Yeah. And it also has different points in the body. If you look at yoga research and what these different shapes do, like there's ones all over Instagram now showing someone in child's pose. Also looks like sujood. Yeah. What does it do? Brings peace, like pretty much what you want to feel in a prayer, you know. So it's anyway overlapping. Which is why I get really annoyed. I've had this conversation with a lot of people in Egypt that yoga is evil. And then I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, and they're like, no, it's worshiping the gods. I'm like, that's a whole other debate. We can go out for pizza and have a talk on this someday. But it's like, yeah. Because they're like, oh, it's multi deity. So, but also, if you think about the deities, they all have different qualities. What else has a lot of qualities in Islam that we know is the Asma al-Husna, the 99 names. So is that 99 God? You know, is that 99 or is that kind of the same thing? So they all make personifications, is what I kind of think. It's the same as ancient Egypt. So there's also a lot of references to vertical writing. So Asians do that, but also we have it in the hieroglyphs also. So anyway, there's a lot of overlap and where it came from, because if we follow the timeline, yoga is old. It's old, like 7,000, goes back 7,000 years, you know, and then a lot of these other new things are and so the framework of divine consciousness or God has been eternal. All these things pass beyond through this time. That is a philosophical discussion / presentation. Okay, so yogic nidra. Yoga Nidra is yogic state. There's a woman here in New Cairo, Nadine. Did you ever go to any of her? Yes. You did go to hers? Yeah, for meditation. So she has a great voice for meditation. And she's not she's nicely also. So she specializes in Yoga Nidra, and that's a yogic sleep, where she kind of does a guided meditation where she leads you through like a little story with her voice, and so now feel this. And so she overlaps, she's a yoga teacher and meditation teacher, and a lot of them go again later together. I end up going super to sleep anytime I go to group meditation, anytime I go into a yoga class and shavasana, like always like drool. I'm just like, I'm not joking, like I'm like, cause I'm like, go, I'm very energetic and like in my own practice. I'll do that shavasana and then I set my timer, so I wake up, but yeah. I don't usually fall asleep on my own because I have some, but when someone else is holding the space for me and I can totally let go and like, I'm like, I don't have to think of anything, you know, then, and I go to other class for that, I definitely fall asleep. Yoga Nidra can be a very deep practice, but it does take some practice to be able to kind of hold that yogic sleep state and continue breathing to get the benefits. So it's yeah, they say it is beyond our waking consciousness. You kind of can go into your dreamlike state. Again, this takes a little bit of practice. Okay. Let's do, okay, I'll leave that for tomorrow. I'm gonna give you some assignments. I'm gonna send you home with the recording of the 6 days meditation. Okay, can you see my book? No. It's like very good. We're gonna have 6 days meditation. That's about that's 18 minutes. And then I want to go from the start of the book, from the introduction, page 9. No, please think about the manual or not. Okay. From 243. It's already printed, so you don't need to get printed ones out, but I need you to review all of these forms and sign them. There's like a line. Signature, date, and print. All of them, so that's part of your homework. And they're there's sexual assault. What to do if you're sexually assaulted in your training. Sexual misconduct, that's pretty good. Alright. You know, like there's so many yoga schools that have these scandals. I really, so you absolutely have to, when you create a yoga school, you have to submit all of this into there. So I'll write a little summary for you guys because I have some other notes, I think. I had a good quote. I downloaded, I said that app. I bought it on Black Friday sale. I downloaded that app Masterclass where they have lots of different classes, and they have one James Clear. He's the guy that wrote Atomic Habits. Oh yeah. I'm sure, did you ever read that, Atomic Habits? It's like kind of picture habits. I read his book a long time ago. But I was like, oh, I'll watch his quest or whatever, his little course. It's only like an hour, the whole thing. So I had it on when I was making my breakfast. I'm making my breakfast. And he had a really great quote that I thought. It said, when dreaming, think big. And when executing, think small. So, you know, especially where you're in the phase of learning to become the teacher. So that's your big, like the big vision, the big goal. But in executing, when it comes to these small things, or like how we were referring to today, like take your time to set up your base for the pose. So think small, think in strategy, think in small step by step. So I have your big plan, but just remember, in any big plan, there's like very small ladder of process that you want to go through. So I just had that quote I wanted to share with you. I was like, oh, I'm inspired by that. And I don't always feel that way while listening. And I was watching another quest also, Kim Kardashian. So I had like one that, I watched the two different, like, I was like, I'm gonna do like business stuff, and then I'm gonna do like, I like James Clear's work. It's very, very much referenced book in the wellness communities. Anyway, yeah, look at that, and then we'll get into that tomorrow. So anyway, I'm gonna send you home with that. Have I'm gonna put this track in the. I'm gonna put this track right now into the meditation, into the WhatsApp group. This meditation track. Say go home and do like a 30-minute practice for what your body feels and write about it in your yoga journal. And you'll share it with us. I want to know what your body was like craving after the day we did like seating and moving today, but a lot of seating. So a 30-minute yoga practice will be your homework for tonight. And then I want you to write your book. Like tell me what poses you do. Maybe you'll share it with the group tomorrow. I don't know. Could be a good. Could be a thing. This is part of your homework. I'm going home early. Technically, we're supposed to work to 10, but I think I need to do some internal work. 30-minute yoga practice with a little bit of a warm up. Not too long, can be under 5 minutes. Gentle warm ups, moving through. Document yourself. Even a hack, you can write your class before you do. Or you could film yourself and see what move from an intuitive place and film it and write it after.
You're trying to write the sequence with the poses that we are going to make before the text.
This is an option. Yes, you can do it. Or you can set your timer, let yourself move for 30 minutes and see what you do. Yeah, so you can do either. And then you will be asked to do the other one. You'll choose one for tonight and you will do the other one another time. You know? So go with your most favorite one, and then you'll close with the 6 phase of meditation. Oh, and I'm so I have a lot of voice notes from my dad that I can't send to you. I was like, oh, if I send them that, that's really funny. And bad. Yeah. That's funny. So I'm sending this in the WhatsApp. I hope you can save it into your phone and have it. It's a really great meditation. So half an hour plus 20 minutes, that's a little bit under an hour for a practice. And then you choose when you do your forms. Here, what were the pages that I read pages 1 to 9 and 243 and forward. Or 4 to 9, I should say. And then when you make some notes about your practice after you've done it, if you did the intuitive one, say why, like, oh, my hip was feeling really crunchy, so I did this because of that, or my back, I needed some extra because of that. And then if you plan your course in advance, your own like sequence in advance, also why. I thought that one was gonna relieve this, or I wanted to feel more like that, you know. So I'm gonna feel like very like tell me what like have a whole conversation about it. And then tomorrow is you'll do your bones test tomorrow, and then your essay paragraphs, at least a half a page of why do you feel good.
Will you be having the muscle test? The test for the muscle?
I had it on the curve for tomorrow, yeah, the major muscle groups, so it's not like so detailed like we did yesterday, like how we went through them all yesterday, not that detailed yet. But we're gonna do major muscle groups, kind of, we went through the yin, you know how we did the yin circle yesterday, and we had quads, and so it'll be like that. And then maybe I'll say, let's hear, but it'll be kind of like that. And I'll just get you the answer. Maybe not write stuff down so much. Here, I was writing it in the website. 243. Fine. Why do you go? And like I said, it's in the context that you're trying to convince someone, your old aunt, why should I do yoga? You know, like, and what can you tell her that's gonna sell me, why should I do yoga? You know, so yesterday Tina was like, I do yoga because it makes me feel good. Pretty much is what pretty much I was okay, Mabruk, like why do I wanna do it? Like that's good, it makes me feel good, but like, so what are some universal truths about yoga that it would sell me? What do I want to know? Oh, if you're like, yeah, think about it, because it's kind of like your elevator pitch. Oh, I'm a yoga teacher. What do you do? I'm a yoga teacher. Oh, what's that? Of course, everyone's heard of yoga by now. It's not gonna be that. Of course, everyone's heard of yoga by now. But yeah, how can you be like, oh, it's just like something that we go into a studio and we turn the lights down and we just all breathe together. Like that sounds kind of creepy, you know, like how can I, what are we doing? You know, what are we doing? You could say yoga is a 6,000-year-old science where we systematically stretch and tone the muscles and oxygenate. Like there's many ways you can go about it. So find the way that it works from your voice. What makes you excited about it? Like that's what I really want to know. What anyone really wants to know. Why do you actually like it? What can it do for me? And I discovered that like I healed my eczema from the, you know, and you're like, really? What? So the point is not to give a statement like that. The point is like for communication and education, we always want to make a dialogue, because like when you're just talking at people, it's not that interesting for them. But when they have a question back for you, that means they're engaged and they really want to. It's an engagement. They want to know more. Start a dialogue. Start a conversation, and you're like, oh well. And then you can try it in my class, you know. So this will be part of also selling yourself as an entrepreneur. You have to leave what's not open for it to sell this big audio clip. So okay, so yellow, that's it. Tomorrow we're 10 to 7 tomorrow. So please be on time as best as you can. And on time is even like loose, guys, because I have in the schedule, like we start 10:15. You know what I mean? So you don't need to come earlier than 10. But we're gonna start, you know, and even this one today, I think I had like started at 10:30. You know what I mean? Like, so we have time, we have time to settle in, I have time to get your tea, you know. So anyway, go home. I highly recommend, just my own advice, not unsolicited advice. Do your homework before you get into your other stuff. Do what you want, but it will be a better night for you, I promise.